Hail to all, this is Bear Nerd Fun, and this is the late edition. I am with Wes and Nick at RC Companion. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Well, we were having a little conversation about Darth Sidious and how uh, Ruin Johnson ruined Darth Sidious. Unbelievable. So yeah. So we got some things going on here in the news. We got new Star Wars rumor provides more details on a brewing civil war in Lucasfilm centered around Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian. The new rumor provides details brewing a civil war within Lucasfilm. Claim that is primarily centers around the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. So there's that. And then we also have the fact that Boba Fett is returning for the Mandalorian Season 2. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I do like Boba Fett.
I think that Battlefront 2 already has clearly established he survived the Sarlacc pit. It's not the first time that Disney or Lucasfilm has resurrected a character that was supposed to die in the films. Like, Darth Maul is a perfect example. So I'm curious to see where they take it and how they explain it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, Boba Fett still remains somewhat mysterious.
We can hope that he's not overly mysterious to the point they don't tell us anything at all. Like, Palpatine's return, for instance.
Yep.
Well, you have to wonder, Toxic Man Flu here mentions the EU canon. They're going to be, more than likely, they're going to dive in to the EU canon. So if they're going to use anything that was written in the EU canon, any kind of ideas, I would say that it would be fair to consult those writers who wrote Boba Fett.
They won't.
Because I read every EU Boba Fett book that I get my hands on. I love the storyline.
They won't, because Disney is obsessed with putting their own stamp on everything.
And that's that there. See, that there is the biggest, largest problem.
Mm-hmm.
KK's like, there's not enough women. Not enough women.
Yeah. And so...
Well, that's probably why she had all the Obi-Wan scripts rewritten, because you can't make a female lead about a show with a male protagonist who's literally the name of the show.
That's right. Got to be some kind of ist.
Yeah, it's got to be some kind of in for...
Yeah, some kind of narrative,
Yeah.
And, is it really so bad just to write a really good story? Write a good script?
Well, apparently it is, because you gotta push the social agenda, the identity politics.
There's like a flow chart they use for their hiring decisions. That's in order to not be racist and sexist. Has racial and gender guidelines for hiring, so that I guess they don't discriminate based on gender.
Isn't that kind of like an oxymoron, though? Because if you're talking about not being racist and sexist or whatever, and then you're adjusting your hiring qualifications to someone's gender, that's counterproductive. That's like...
What?
That's like the comments where it's like, well, we need to have, we want to make a show that's got all women writers and all women producers and a woman director and exclude all the men because men are bad. And it's like, that's sexism. I mean, I don't know if you got the memo, but it goes both ways.
What? You mean systematic institutional bias based on gender and race is like discrimination? Oh my goodness, it's almost like these people don't believe their actual bullshit.
They believe their bullshit when it suits their narrative.
Yeah, there's always got to be a narrative in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a trip line you step over and trip on, you know? Boom! Narrative just happened.
Yeah, I just wish they'd released the flow chart so I could, I could discern
Well-
it rather than
Well, you got a little
figuring out
taste
when
of
they
that.
get.
You got a little taste of that with their whiteboard when they were putting the High Republic together.
Do you know it when you
Yeah, that's
on
right.
Voodoo, when you scroll down to the very bottom, if it's all inclusive, it'll tell you it's got specific things. If it's included all genders and all this, it'll tell you that on Voodoo now. Do you know that?
Do you know that Star Wars on Disney Plus has a you know how they got like violence and fantasy violence and all that? There is a warning for tobacco use on A New Hope because of the Tonica sisters in the cantina.
And
I kid you not.
if they had never ever said nothing, nobody would have ever noticed.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
it's one of the things where you don't notice those kind of things unless you have to point it out, like Disney does, or these people that don't like this, don't like that, and don't want you to have any fun. Nope, you can't have fun. Slap the hand.
No, you can't have fun today. You can't have fun 10 years ago or 30 years ago. Just talk to the just ask the Dukes of Hazzard how well that went for them.
Has to be, the fun can be achieved if you go through their like Connect Four like flow chart of fun.
Yeah, if everything is fuchsia colored and sky blue, and every single term has a Y attached to the end of it, so it's gunny and lightsabery and scary and kind of a hurdy film. I mean, I saw this great video the other day about baby talk, and I think it was on the quartering where was it the quartering? I think where he breaks down the whole idea of the whole baby talk origin, and this article that some lady wrote about it, how it revolutionized language. And I'm just sitting there like rolling my eyes, like, you're 30 something, you're 40 something. Stop acting like little kids and grow up, you know?
Yeah. You know, I wanted to see good writing. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see something quality, you know? Instead, we got stuff that's all spun, a spun narrative, a spun story in a bad way. And there's a good way to be spun. There's a bad way to be spun. That's definitely bad story spinning. And, we could have had something good. They had one of these. They had a chance to make lightning strike again because they had the OG actors all together. They could have done something.
Yeah.
Talk about wasted opportunities.
All we wanted was Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia, Chewie back together again in a new adventure. And it wasn't even about passing the torch to new characters, because let's face it, that's inevitable, right? It's the method in which they did it and the systematic decision to ruin these characters and either ruin their reputations or kill them off entirely, so that their newer, more boring, less developing characters could take the stage, take the front, the spotlight.
Yeah, boring, plain
Should we
Jane,
try-
I mean,
two-dimensional.
even the actors and actresses are starting to say stuff that they're upset.
Well, I think that's because they're not under contract anymore.
Yeah, they're not under a NDA, non-disclosure.
NBA, yeah.
I feel like I should send Ryan Johnson another StreamYard link.
Oh man, wouldn't that be messy? So yeah, the actors are speaking out, and basically they're being resentful. Geez, imagine that. I mean, they're only going to be known for these tragic, ugly Star Wars movies they made, and they're gonna carry that under their resume for a long time, man. And so I
Well,
don't blame them.
I
being
gotta say,
upset.
shout out to John Boyega for telling it like it is.
Yep.
Oh hell yeah!
You know,
Oh hell yeah! He's been saying some things.
he's been saying some things.
Yeah, a bunch of it.
Yeah, I got respect for him for sure. Even
I just, you know, if there had been a plan from the beginning, this is, I'd give you another example. You know, me being a Knight Rider guy that wrote a book on the 80s classic show, when they brought the series back as Knight Rider 08, which was quote unquote a continuation of the original series, they didn't have a plan. They didn't have an organized outline of what was going to happen with each episode and what each story was building towards. So you think about Star Wars, Star Wars is the same deal. Like, okay, The Force Awakens set up such great things, a lot of mystery boxes, the J.J. Abrams mystery box. But then there was no plan past that movie. Like, you can't set up a mystery and not explain the mystery. That kind of defeats the purpose of having a mystery.
yeah, you don't get follow through. There's
no follow through. It's like, and then what do you get? You get contradiction because one person gets
you get
it wrong.
at the edge of your seat and you're waiting for that moment, and guess what? That moment never comes.
No.
Yep. I bet you if Colin Trevorrow had been the one that had done episode 8, we probably would have gotten a fantastic episode 8.
I like Colin. I like his projects. I like his storytelling. I do feel that Jurassic World was a very safe movie.
Mm-hmm. But he understood the material.
But he understands his fans and he understands the material.
Yeah, I loved Safety Not Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of my favorite movies, I think. I mean, he did a lot on a shoestring, you know, and it was because of good storytelling.
It is important because basically you can have a budget that's not a huge budget, and if your storytelling is good and you've got some people that got talent and that are sincere and care about what they're doing, you can actually get something that's pretty miraculous.
Yeah, like that twist at the end, which I'm not going to spoil in case nobody's seen it. It's like I had absolutely no idea they were going to go that way with it. And it wasn't high tech, and it wasn't huge, spectacular effects. It had heart.
With what exactly? Well, what are you referring to?
The end of Safety Not Guaranteed.
Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah,
I got you.
I was trying not to spoil it.
Shout out to Orville Nation.
Well, hey, it's probably a good
PJ.
thing because I don't think I've seen that yet.
It's a great movie. Highly recommended. You know, it's hard to find. A lot of good movies are hard to find. You ever notice that?
You know, I had a hard time finding They Live.
They Live's a hard one to find. Mm-hmm. JFK is a hard one to find. I bought JFK as a digital copy,
but
they deleted it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Really?
Yep. I've got it on DVD somewhere, but the DVD got screwed up.
Oh man, that's too bad. Yep. Departed is another one of those JFK movies.
That's hard to find?
Well, They Live. I couldn't find it on some of the other platforms, you know, and so I just ended up getting it on Vudu because it was reasonable price. And so I'm going to watch They Live later on.
Nice. I think Vudu was what I bought JFK on that they deleted it from.
Oh.
Man, I would be calling them, and I would make them give you a code. Serious. You still got the receipt and all that?
Yeah, somewhere in my email.
Yep. I would absolutely.
Oh yeah, if you pay
not
for
let
it.
them not let them get away with that. Because, you know, I've had random movies just show up in my Vudu. Like, just for instance, you know the special edition, TV edition of Superman, the motion picture? It's like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And it just had more Brando scenes, right?
Probably, but there's two different ones. There's one made for TV, then there's one with that was a special edition. And that thing was about 3 hours long. And then one day it just disappeared, and I'm just like, what the hell? And I asked him about it, and it was one of those things where I didn't really have a receipt for it because it just randomly showed up and then randomly disappeared. But I do have the other special edition Superman motion picture. It's just a little under 3 hours, I think.
I think I have that one. I've also got the Richard Donner cut.
Yeah, I've got the Donner cut of Superman too. Yeah, it's tonally it's very different.
Yep. I really like the Donner cut because it explains what he had to, what price he had to pay to get his powers back.
Yeah, it flows a lot better.
And the Lester cut didn't really touch on that at all. He just kind of puts the crystal in the machine and he's back to being Superman again.
Yeah, they didn't really show it too well. I've got the Donner cut as well. Yeah. Matter of fact, I found the whole. I got a 5 DVD Superman edition.
Yeah, I have it. Is it the steel case one with the like?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't
color cover.
Yeah, it wasn't the steel case. It was just the 5 DVD special thing that I got, and I got Superman Returns plus all the other Superman movies, and the Donner cut.
The one I have is the one I have is a DVD case, and it has like a Lenticolor slip case inside of a metal case thing with the Superman.
Yeah, mine don't look that fancy.
And there's like 15 discs or something, and it's huge.
15. Wow. Yeah, mine only had
because it's got the movies plus the special features.
A lot of people say they don't like Superman 3, but I liked it. I thought it was fun.
I feel like it's probably the weakest personally. It has its moments, but it's kind of boring. It tends to drag a lot.
Yeah,
and the music is kind of
like the part where. Yeah, I just like the fact that Superman, was drinking in bars and flicking peanuts and
evil Superman.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty.
No, I like that a lot. I like 4. I know people hate 4, Quest for Peace. I get it. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with it, but it basically comes across as a remake of the first Superman. If you think about it, it's Luthor's got is intercepting nuclear weapons or rockets or what?
That's where
missiles.
That's where
intercepting missiles and
that's the one with Nuclear Man.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the same story beats.
I guess you could say there's things about it I like and things about it that I didn't like, and
there's a lot to not like about Quest for Peace. I don't defend the movie as being a good movie, but it's definitely a guilty pleasure of mine.
But yeah, there's definitely some
There's a lot of great Superman action in that movie.
There is some good Gene Hackman and Superman moments.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like the Gene Hackman Superman moments just felt like a remake of the first Superman. It's the same kind of back and forth situational setups. But what made it so great is that that's what made Superman the movie great. So instead of going off in a weird direction with Superman 3, they brought it back, full circle to where it started. Yeah, that's something about Superman Returns that, God, Superman Returns had such potential. I really liked Brandon Routh. I met him in person. He's a really nice guy. I don't think it's his fault that the movie was bad. It was definitely the writing. It wasn't his performance. It wasn't the costume. Because unlike, say, Man of Steel, Superman was doing very Superman things. Aside from the weird, bizarre stalking angle of Lois Lane and all that. When Brandon Routh was Superman, he felt like Superman. He was saving the city. He stopped glass from falling on people. He had that Boy Scout persona that channeled a lot of what Christopher Reeve started.
I thought it was a pretty good homage to Christopher Reeve.
So I really like Superman Returns for various reasons, but actually like it more than Man of Steel, to be honest. Man of Steel just feels like an alien invasion movie with a guy calling himself Superman. I think there's a lot of great stuff in Man of Steel visually, but it doesn't feel like a Superman movie to me.
I've never really felt all that really. I don't know. I felt that the Man of Steel could have been more.
Sure.
Or there was maybe a little bit too dark.
Very much so. That's the Zack Snyder murderverse.
Yeah, I had potential, but Superman coming and dropping a satellite down and threatening people at the end of the movie, that didn't feel very Superman.
Well, I mean, you have to forgive the fact that it was his first time out being Superman and dealing with a catastrophe. Very much a learning lesson. That's why he's a bit different, if you notice, in Batman v Superman, which is basically a Batman movie sandwiched in with Man of Steel 2, which makes it really confusing to watch. But I think I liked his version of Superman best in Justice League because he wasn't as serious and he was more aware of his surroundings and saving people. For all the hate that Justice League gets, and it does have a lot of problems, I think in terms of the way Superman was portrayed, I really appreciated the evolution of the character to be more of a likable character. Like Man of Steel, he's just kind of a dick.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Roth. With Roth seemed a little meek for the part, and basically Singer's direction, basically directing him. Maybe could have been a little better.
Ralph. Ralph, I got you.
Agree.
Ralph.
Agree on that. Lex Luthor also was a little weird in the execution.
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, which boy, those two together in the special features, driving around in a golf cart, it's like Me Too on wheels. That thing going on.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing you got to understand about Bryan Singer. One of my friends is Tom DeSanto. He's the guy that wrote the first Transformers movie, the Michael Bay one. He's also the guy who approached Hasbro to get the rights for, what is that? Is that a Universal movie? I think it's Universal.
I think so.
Getting that old brain syndrome, brain farts. But Tom DeSanto is a comic book fan. He's an X-Men fan, and this is what I'm building towards. Bryan Singer directed X-Men 1. He directed X-Men 2. Bryan Singer is not a comic book fan. He will tell you he is, but he's not. In fact, he had to learn about the X-Men from borrowing comics from Tom DeSanto's comic collection. So when Bryan Singer went off on his own to do Superman, when they parted ways on the X-Men stuff, he kind of gave this idea like, he understood the Superman mythology and all that. But the fact of the matter is, as a Superman fan, it's pretty obvious that he was more a Richard Donner fan than a Superman mythology fan, and that Superman Returns is very much like a love letter to Donner's, Superman universe. Then you look at Zack Snyder.
I believe it's not Universal. I take that back. That is Paramount Pictures.
Yeah, you're right. It is Paramount. Yeah. I got confused because there's a Transformer ride in the Universal theme parks.
Yeah, but it's what got me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely Paramount. Yeah, I was wrong about that. But that kind of explains a little bit as to why, when Bryan Singer goes off to his own to do comic book movies, they're not as good, or they're not as faithful to the mythology as they should be.
Basically, if he were to work with a producer that were to keep him on track and where he needs to be, I think he would make a pretty good movie that way,
I think that Bryan... Well, look, I love Valkyrie, okay? I think that's one of Bryan Singer's best movies next to Usual Suspects. I'm a big Bryan Singer fan, but like I've told you before, I call a spade a spade. And I understand the disconnect when Bryan tries to do a comic book movie without, like you're saying, some kind of comic book expert influence to help guide him.
Yeah, I would, make
the right choices.
I would have to agree with the Sentinel, the X-Men. they were good movies, but
Sure.
maybe a bit overrated.
Yeah,
I have
so
all of them, I believe, on Vudu. But they were good for what they were, but they weren't exactly what they could have been.
Well,
Yeah.
they did the time travel to mess up the timeline. Like, look at the Wolverine movies. You've got Wolverine Origins, which is its own version of Wolverine, and then you've got The Wolverine, and then you've got Logan. And none of the Wolverine movies are consistent with each other. Still enjoyable. Still love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but from a timeline, canon standpoint, they contradict each other.
I was never really a big X-Men reader. I would read a few here and there, comic books. I was mostly into Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk.
Sure.
Yeah, I have to agree with the Sentinel on Days of Future Past. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh yeah. I think it could have been so much better though if they had expanded more on the Sentinels hunting down mutants and stuff like that.
Do you know what Logan's demise was?
What do you mean in the comics? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I never really got to that part. I always read a comic here and there.
Oh, well, Logan or Wolverine? Like, you mean Old Man Logan or Wolverine?
Well, Wolverine and Logan are one and the same at one point.
Well, in the comic books, there's an older Logan storyline. That's why I'm saying Old Man Wolverine.
And
then there's like the regular Wolverine character. He died. Of course, he came back to life. He didn't stay dead. He stayed dead for a little while though. He died saving a soldier from becoming another Weapon X project. And basically, he tried to pull him off the machine and ruptured a tank of liquid adamantium.
Holy shit!
Covered him, and he carried the soldier in his arms to get out of the facility. And as he was doing that, the adamantium dried and basically entombed him in a tomb of adamantium. And suffocated to death.
Wow.
And then later, it's not really crystal clear how he came back to life, but this other character, I can't remember her name. If you read the Return of Wolverine series, there's this other African-American doctor character, and maybe someone in the chat can remember her name. Used some kind of resurrection powers to bring him back to life, but he wasn't all mentally there. And when he came back, he had this ability with this adamantium claws to superheat. So they got really hot, like flame claws, melting through things instead of slicing through them. And then that superpower kind of dissipated after he was alive for a while. But there's a lot of like out of order dream sequences. It kind of tries to explain how he came back to life and this other kind of stuff. It's a little bit convoluted, but yeah, he is alive in the comics again.
Well, I wish we could have got that story about Wolverine. That would have been awesome in a movie.
Sentinel, I really liked X-Men too. And honestly, for me, that's the most solid X-Men movie of the Fox franchise. X2, X-Men United, had like 3 different names. I think the weakest one was probably...
that's a good question.
The Last Stand.
Yeah, that one wasn't very entertaining.
That was Brett Ratner.
Parrothead says he thought Deadpool had a hand in bringing him back.
He might. I honestly haven't followed up since the Return of Wolverine series. I know that there's more after that with like Infinity Gems and stuff like that. It's just based on what I know from the comics I bought. But I welcome any information. Like anyone wants to expand on how he came back to life, have at it. I'm a big Wolverine fan. I don't like that they rebooted him with the Greg Rucka thing. I really liked the Jim Lee era. I think it went to like 180 something issues. But I stopped reading Marvel Comics when they turned Wolverine into a freaking Highlander. They basically said that he's immortal and cannot die, because when he dies, he goes up against this death-type character, and if he beats him in a duel, he comes back to life every time. And I believe he literally, in the Greg Rucka series, brought some kind of sword back through the dream world in order to behead Sabretooth. It got really weird. And then they had this thing where he went up against a dude who was like nuclear energy incarnate, and he detonates himself, and Wolverine's completely obliterated by this nuclear blast, except for his adamantium skeleton and like 2 brain cells or something, 2 cells.
Holy cow.
And he's able to regenerate himself completely back from two surviving cells. So that's like Dragon Ball Z, you know, with Cell. If one single cell survives, you can keep coming back. And that's at that point, I'm like, okay, you really jumped the shark.
Hey, that's what they did to Mr. Data in Picard.
Yeah, they did.
Yep,
They did.
exactly.
Yep. What the hell they call it? Well, wasn't it a molecule? A quantum molecule?
Quantum something.
Picard was a disaster.
Oh, my God.
Coming back for season 2, supposedly.
How? I mean, how? Like, where do you go from there? He's not even Picard anymore. He's Picard bot. You know,
he's I Picard.
Yeah, he's I Picard.
But he's in a simulated 96-year-old body, so he still has to take Metamucil to be regular, and still has to.
Stupid.
It still has to take the little blue pill.
I mean, I saw that coming a mile away, that he was going to end up on an android body, because they had to have a reason for him to go through all of this and have a payoff. And when they did the whole he's got a brain problem thing in the future that's for some reason their medical science can't cure, I saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah, and they took demented, mentally ill Picard and put it into a robot body. Okay, fine. Whatever.
That is time to die at a natural age too, right?
Yep, but
he's got 100 years on the odometer.
Yeah, but in the meantime, it's a 96-year-old body that, you know. Hey, wonderful. Yep. Good news! Patrick Stewart signed on for season 2. Quick, put him in the Golem.
Well, there is one thing that CBS wants to do that I am in favor of if they do it. I really did think that Christopher Pike was a great addition to the Discovery cast. I would watch a season with that guy. But the other ideas are, why? I mean, Jesus, how bad. I gotta be honest, the season finale of season 2 of Star Trek Discovery was such incoherent, boring, redundant, bizarre.
Nothing happened.
Bizarre finale. I have zero interest in where it goes from there. I don't understand. Like, they stop the threat, but they still go back. Oh, spoiler alert. They still go back in time. For what reason? If the threat's been stopped, why did you go back in time? I don't. This is dumb. I'll give them this much. I saw the twist coming in season 1. I really enjoyed the build up to that. I think that was probably one of their better plot lines.
That was the part that Brian Fuller was most involved with. Once he left and Berg and whatever Harperts took over,
I genuinely enjoyed season 1 for all of its overbearing Michael Burnham sob sequences and know-it-all smugness.
Well, that was balanced out with Jason, with Lorca putting her in her place. Though.
Yes, I love Jason Isaacs as an actor. I think he did an amazing job.
That was. He was probably the only thing that I liked, because I happen to like Jason Isaacs as well.
He completely hid his accent. I'm so blown away by how he was able to do that.
I thought that was the perfect accent for the character he was playing. You know what's interesting is that Anson Mount tried out for Lorca also.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, he almost got cast. They cast Jason Isaacs over him. It's like how would Anson Mount's Lorca would have been different? See, I think I would have had a harder time. I wouldn't have predicted the twist with Anson Mount as Lorca.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm a pretty big study of mythology and 3-act structures, and as particularly like Hitchcock suspense building and foreshadowing. So I saw it coming a mile away.
I don't think Anson Mount would have been good as Lorca. I don't think it would have been as good.
Kind of would have been cast against type, huh?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that Anson Mount as the other role was good. Was real good.
Oh yeah, he was a perfect fit for Pike.
Yeah.
Just needed to be written a little better.
There was a similar look, similar way the way both actors carried themselves. The original Pike in The Cage, and yeah, I could a slight resemblance, and there was a similar style in acting.
Sure.
If Pike would have put Burnham in her place, it would have been better.
Yes,
he did. He did put Tyler in his place, and that I thought was good.
Yeah.
Except he didn't vaporize Tyler. I wanted him to, and he didn't. Oh well.
Well, yeah. Oh yeah, the Axonar deal. Yep.
Yep. I've heard those guys are kind of egomaniacs too.
Oh, yeah. There's faults on many sides in that whole debacle.
Oh, that's interesting. Logan had an Infinity Stone with him in his metal tomb.
Yeah, I do remember mentioning them. Gosh, man, I'm gonna talk slower, I guess. I do remember them mentioning that in the comic book.
Most of my exposure to X-Men was the X-Men cartoon.
Yeah, same here.
You know,
a lot of X-Men cartoons.
The X-Men the animated series is what comic book movies should have been.
That would have been great.
They got it. They hit everything right. The way they handled the Phoenix Saga. Are you kidding me? I mean, jeez.
Yeah, they did the Phoenix Saga, and also kind of what they were doing in Days of Future Past. They had some time travel stuff with dystopian, with the Sentinels basically, running the world. And
well, they followed the comic books. I mean, they followed the source material. They didn't try to change it.
Yeah, it's got to be
for the most part. It followed the comic book material. Yep. I thought X-Men Evolution wasn't bad either. Wasn't a bad follow-up. I really like Steve Blum as Wolverine.
When you can get a movie company to make the product as close as possible to the comic and not sacrifice any characters or anything like that, and do an actual decent story, and I guess now if they were to do that, we might faint from the shock.
Yeah. Well, look at Deadpool. I mean, Deadpool is not comic book bound, but it's a great movie because it's a very simple story.
Yeah.
And has great unapologetic humor. Deadpool 2, I didn't think it was as great as the first movie, especially in a cohesive way, but it's a fun movie, and I miss fun movies, fun escapist entertainment that doesn't have to be overly serious and people running for their lives and these 9/11 overtones and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's like we go to movies to get away from the real world because the real world in many ways is very depressing and very gives us a lot of anxiety. I think escapist entertainment gives us an opportunity to look at someone else's problems instead of dragging everything to ours. That's why Star Wars fell apart, because they're taking Star Wars and they're making a reflection of our world instead of keeping it in a galaxy far, far away. And for me, it got overbearing, where the social justice aspect of things overtook the respect and the natural progression of the mythology that made it great in the first place. But everybody has their opinions. I'm not saying people are right or wrong. You like what you like. You know, Star Wars is like an a la carte menu. You can take something you like and leave what you don't like. And there's something for everybody.
But yeah, but there was a lot of things that was very likable, and they didn't use it.
Sure.
And the likable things they did use, they ruined it.
Because they tried to put their own spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's like that line from Jurassic Park, right? You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves. You know, you took what other people have started and you packaged it and you put it on a lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You're just selling it. You know, it's like you didn't earn the knowledge for yourself, so you don't understand consequences of. I don't remember the exact line, but you know what I'm saying.
Toxic Man Flu. Have you seen the Xander Cage sequel, the Triple X?
Yes, I have actually.
Me too. I liked it.
I loved it. It was great.
I liked it.
21 Jump Street was fun too.
I got both movies on Vudu, but I haven't watched it yet. I'm just waiting for that moment where there's just nothing to watch, and then I'm going to tune into it.
I have a long list of things I should be watching, but you know, the anxiety of dealing with our current situation, it's mentally draining, especially like if you go on Twitter, it's all over there. You go on social networks, people arguing about this, arguing about that, and there is no, like, we don't have the ability to have escapism. We can't go to a theme park anymore. We can't go to a movie theater. We can't hang out with our friends in person and watch movies together. You know, and there's something to say about the anxiety and mental fatigue that comes from those being stuck in that situation with no choices. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole of that, but I think it does very much play in with the idea of escapist entertainment is important. We need it.
Well, that's the reason why there's a hashtag Pink Elephant.
Yeah.
Because it's the pink elephant.
SJWs are hell bent on stealing everything and ruining everything that's considered escapist entertainment or a strong mythology by replacing great ideas with inferior ones. And that's why we fight them. That's why the Phantom Menace exists. You know, we fight for what we love too.
Yep.
And look, it's infected all aspects of pop culture. You know, like Star Wars is ruined, Terminator is ruined, comic books are ruined.
Trek.
They're coming for video games. Star Trek's ruined. And if it's not ruined, they'll find a way to remake it and ruin that too. Remake it or sequelize it or whatever. Look, Jurassic World was a great movie for me. I love the Jurassic Park franchise, but I really did not like Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom because Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom suffers the same problems as the other franchises. It's too much politics. It ruins the story, and then it contradicts the actions of the characters. Like, I would have enjoyed that movie a lot more if it had just left that crap at the door and just told a good story.
Yeah, I would have rather had a good story.
Fallen Kingdom.
You haven't?
Nope.
It's kind of like an inverse of Jurassic Park: The Lost World. Instead of spending a lot of time on the island, they spend more time in the real world.
I don't like it already.
It's worth seeing if you're a Jurassic Park fan, because I encourage everyone to explore things for themselves. You know, you don't have to take my advice or advice of critics or whatever. Just if it appeals to you, go see it. If not, don't see it. You know, there's nothing wrong either way. If you're a Jurassic Park fan and you like Jurassic World, you should check it out at least once.
You know, see, I thought the third Jurassic Park was better than the second one, and people think I'm a weirdo for that, for whatever reason.
Yeah,
both two
and
three
the
were worse
and the
than
podcast goes deathly silent after that one. No, I think there's honestly, I think there are things that, from a story standpoint and from a mythology standpoint, Jurassic Park 3 has great connections to the first movie and also some connections to the second movie. Like they go to the same visitor center that the other people were helicoptered out of in The Lost World. So there is that, like, that connection there. But I think the problem with Jurassic Park 3 is it's a very simple and very self-contained story that doesn't have a greater sense of danger in the larger sense. And I think that some people
what I liked about it.
Well, I think some people who like Jurassic Park want that more greater sense of danger, bigger world. But it's, to each their own. I don't hate Jurassic Park 3. I think that it's probably, for me, one of the weaker movies, but I'd actually put it above Fallen Kingdom. I really didn't like Fallen Kingdom. Which is a shame because
I don't think I've seen that
has great visuals, but
that's the one where what's his name's character was training the dinosaurs. Fallen Kingdom.
Well, Fallen Kingdom is the sequel to Jurassic World, where they go back and try to rescue some dinosaurs off the island before a volcano explodes and destroys everything. Spoiler alert.
Oh, whoops.
Well, that's actually in the posters and stuff. It's not really a spoiler at this point.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the last two ones of the Jurassic movies.
Go see Jurassic World. I think Jurassic World was a great example of trying to reboot a franchise and doing it right.
I think, yeah, I thought it was well done.
That's why it made tons of money. I mean, didn't it beat out Star Wars? Am I right about that, or did Force Awakens still beat Jurassic World? I think Jurassic World beat Star Wars.
Not sure about that.
I have to check.
I don't believe so. Well, I was thinking of punishing myself by watching.
Well, maybe not.
By watching Josh Trank's new movie, Capone, that's gotten terrible reviews.
I never heard of it.
Oh man, yeah. What's a low budget, $10 million? Josh Trank, he made Fantastic, and that was a train wreck. And apparently, he made Capone, which is also a train wreck. Apparently.
Oh, I did not like Fantastic Four. I thought it was pretty bad, but it was rife with problems. So, yeah.
I thought the Jessica Alba Fantastic Four was okay. That seemed like a fun movie. But
the original Fantastic Four. Yeah, I thought that was.
I gotta say, I don't think I have any of the Jurassic movies at all. Are any of them on Netflix?
Netflix? I thought they were. They're always changing their catalog, Netflix. I was kind of surprised to see the Back to the Future movies show up on Netflix, honestly.
Okay, so
I've got
the Force Awakens did beat out Jurassic World, but they were the number 1 and number 2 movie of that year. And then I believe Avengers Endgame unseated Force Awakens as a number 1 movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised I don't have any of the Jurassic movies at all on Vudu. Shocker.
Really?
Yeah. Because I think when they were out, I think I rented those when they came out. Because remember when DVDs were popular, all these DVD places, rental places, were just everywhere. And I could rent like 5 DVDs for about $25.
You're talking about the Blockbuster days, right?
No, I'm not just Blockbuster. There was DVD stores, own mom and pop places that were popping up all over the place.
Oh yeah.
That were more affordable than Blockbuster. Of course, there were still Blockbusters, but these places had. There was this one place. It was called DVD Rental, and they had nothing but DVDs. And I could go in there and they had a 99-cent section.
Yep.
And they had their new release section. So I go in there, get 2 or 3 new releases, and then I walk out with 5 movies for anywhere from $20 to $30, depending on the new releases I got. And that was huge, a huge thing. And
I bought a lot of my DVDs from Blockbuster. Well, not Blockbuster, but some Blockbusters, because they had great deals on like older DVDs.
Have you seen the new Bloodshot movie?
No, I've seen the trailers for it though. That's the Vin Diesel thing, right?
Yeah. I gotta say, I think I like it.
Yeah,
I think I like it.
I like Vin Diesel's movies, so I give it a chance.
Yeah. Well, that's the only reason why I picked it up. I watched a few trailers. I'm like, this looks interesting. I really like Vin Diesel, Guy Pearce. I liked Eliza Gonzalez. She was really good. Yeah. Even the guy that played Jimmy Dalton, Sam Hagen, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He plays in Outlander as Jamie, the character Jamie. It's out of Scotland, basically. Scottish characters and all that. That was about the Jacobite, a rebellion that he played in. And he plays in that. And I saw him in this, and it's pretty good. And I don't know if you guys have seen Toby Cabell. He plays a typical bad guy in a lot of different stuff. He played Axe. I thought it was pretty good.
I'd probably check that one out. Is that based on a comic book?
Gosh.
Honestly, I don't know if it is or isn't. It might be. It very well could be. Boiler Room. Is,
oh God, Boiler Room.
Is that a gambling movie?
No, Boiler Room.
Boiler Room is about call center stocks. What are they? Pump and dump.
It's like a modern Wall Street movie.
It's been a while since I've seen that.
It's based on Jordan Belfort. Yeah, that was a good movie.
Oh man, that movie's great. If you haven't seen Boiler Room, Bear, you need to check that one out. If you like Wall Street and like Glenn Ross and movies like that, you'll love Boiler Room.
Yeah, the days of Blockbuster, man, they're gone. Disappeared.
I still remember when there was mostly mom and pop places, and you had like the Beta Hi-Fi section and the VHS section.
Yeah.
And some places would have the betas next to the VHS versions of the tape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow, different times.
Indeed.
Well, I tell you what, I don't miss
times of innocence in 80s movies, particularly the shoot 'em up ones.
Don't miss the late fees. I'll tell you that much.
Oh my God, late fees!
Buy the movie for the late fees a lot of times.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Blockbuster was the worst for late fees.
Well, you drop them in the Dropbox, and they wouldn't check them in, the fuckers. It happened all the time at Blockbuster. I was like, I dropped it in the box. Oh, no, you didn't. We found it 3 days later. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you didn't empty the box until 3 days later. Yeah, I did not use the Dropbox for that particular reason, because they could just say that excuse. And then I would ask, do your cameras work? They're like, yeah, okay. See the camera? I just put the movies in the Dropbox. So basically, if you don't check those in, I'll be back. I used to say stuff like that just to get them to empty the Dropbox for people. Come on, man. The reason there's a Dropbox so that we check those movies in. Why have it if you're not going to check those in?
Yep. Oh, and rewind fees, and they try and tag you with.
Oh
those.
Yeah.
Come on. Be kind.
Yeah, there were some movie rental places had the back room.
Yeah. Oh, I know the hidden back room.
Yeah, the
movie gallery had a porno room. Believe it or not, they certainly did.
Yeah, the blocked off the 18 or older section. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
Blockbuster was my first introduction to hentai. In the anime section, yeah, they didn't distinguish between what animes were family friendly and which animes were not.
Nice.
That's right, Culture Casino. I watch that movie all the time. In fact, they literally quote Wall Street in it with Gordon Gekko and Bud Fox.
Wait, in the movie, don't they give him a list of movies to watch? Isn't Wall Street one of them?
I think so. But there's a scene where they're all gathered in like an empty house with a giant television screen, and they're taking turns quoting lines directly from Wall Street while they're watching it.
Yeah.
it's been a minute since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, Boiler Room is a classic.
$7.99 for HDX on video. But you know what? You can probably get it for $4.99, $5.99 online.
Wall Street 2. You seen Wall Street 2?
I seen that.
Money Never Sleeps. Yeah. So dumb.
It wasn't bad.
Oh, yeah. It was all right, but it didn't have the same feel and magic of the original movie for me.
Yeah, my kids wanted Sonic, and so I found the Blu-ray online for $22 with the digital code.
That was a good movie. I liked Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. So they liked it.
I don't know if it had a lot of rewatch value for me, but I did enjoy watching it in the theater.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go see it, and so when the Blu-ray gets here, I'll probably spin that up and watch that.
Oh, it's good. Classic Jim Carrey. He does a great job.
I don't know if Boiler Room was Vin Diesel's first movie or not.
I thought. Wait,
I think
was that
Saving
before
Private
or after
Ryan.
Fast and Furious.
I think Saving Private Ryan was Vin Diesel's first movie. Guess I'll have to go on IMDb and check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Vin Diesel filmography.
Come on, load.
Why can't they just put it all in easy to click?
Awakenings. Uncredited. 1990.
What was his first credited movie?
Let's see here. Strays.
Multifacial. What is that?
What was his first theatrical movie?
I would say 1997 Strays. He played Rick.
Okay. Why is this not?
Yeah, everybody, their brother, mother, and sister streaming right now. So if you're having connection problems or just slow connecting, oh yeah.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan came before Boiler Room. That was his fourth movie.
Hey, he was the lead in this movie.
Which one? Multifacial?
Strays. Yeah.
Strays.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it was.
Because after Boiler Room, he did Pitch Black, and then Fast and the Furious put him on the map.
Mike Epps is in that movie. TK Kirk.
A Man Apart was actually one of Vin Diesel's good movies too. That didn't really get much attention. Triple X is my favorite though. I mean that movie's just fun all the way through.
Oh man, that movie's great.
I love the music. In that film.
I haven't seen it.
Toxic Man Flu. What did you think?
You haven't seen Triple X? Oh, man.
I haven't.
It's like a modern day James Bond.
What did you think of Ice Cube's Triple X?
Oh, crap. Garbage. State of the Union was garbage. It's like the Last Jedi of the Triple X movies.
Yeah, but I like Ice Cube. I really do.
Well, I mean, I like William Dafoe, but that's about it. I mean, I like Ice Cube. Don't get me wrong, but he's no Vin Diesel. I didn't dig that one as much.
I'll have to check it out.
Well, that's really weird. That
Wow, you haven't seen Triple X, man.
I have not seen Triple X.
you gotta check that out.
You're in for a treat if you haven't, because like the first time you see it, it's just like, wow. It's definitely escapist entertainment.
Sweet, we could all use that right now.
Oh yeah.
And Saving Private Ryan was his next movie.
Yeah, that was his fourth movie and his first big budget feature film.
Did you know that he played the voice of Iron Giant in '99?
Yep.
It's one of the little things that I tend to look over every now and then.
Well, it's kind of like him going, "I am Groot" in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I feel like the Fast and the Furious franchise has been overplayed, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think?
Yes.
Even though I love it, but
the one
I
where they were in Brazil, they should have ended it there.
The last one?
The one, yeah, where they're in. No, I'm talking like 3 movies ago. The one where they were in Brazil and The Rock showed. I think that was the first or the second time.
I think that's the 6th one.
Was it Fast and Furious or Furious 5? I think it might have been Furious 5. Hold on, let me look.
Oh yeah, the bank robbery thing. What they take the safe.
Yeah, the safe and through the streets and
yeah, that's
around.
Fast 5. Yeah.
Furious
Yeah, 5,
I have. Fast 5. They should have stopped there because it kind of yeah, I don't know. Like the one where they were jumping from building to building in the cars. Like, come on now.
Well,
they
here's
really
what,
are.
Here's what you got to understand. Here's what you got to
space.
understand about the Fast and the Furious movies.
Next, I'm convinced.
The first movie was a car heist, or was a electronics heist film, right? The second movie was Brian O'Connell off on his own. Vin Diesel's doing his own thing. The third movie was let's go to Tokyo and tell a side story that exists in the Fast and the Furious world. And then the fourth movie was like, let's bring the whole gang back together and all that stuff. As the movies progress past 5, it becomes very clear that they become less about car races and street racing and more about basically superhero tropes. See, as long as they're inside a car, they're pretty much indestructible. That's like their superhero suit. Outside of the cars, they're vulnerable. They're normal people. But when they're in the cars, it becomes a superhero film.
And
where
I think
the laws of reality don't apply. I mean, I don't even want to get into that, but you know what I'm saying? Like
it's even said in one of the movies, you got to get them out of their cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say the cars are their superpowers. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't stick with the rice rockets. That was the one thing I didn't like about the first movie was all the rice rockets.
The crashing through the 3 buildings, it may have looked unreal, but when you're like me and heights make your stomach do flip-flops, my God. My goodness.
Probably was cool in IMAX.
I was holding on to the chair when they were doing that because I went and saw it.
Well, they did a lot of those 3D stunts are practical. Yeah, there's 2 Knight Rider connections with the Fast and the Furious franchise you may not be aware of. The first one is Jack Gill's stunt company, Stuntmen Unlimited, did all the stunts.
Culture Casino.
What's that? Oh, sorry.
I was saying goodnight, Culture Casino.
He does all the stunt work for those films. His company does all the stunt work for the films. He was also the stuntman, stunt coordinator, who did all the jumps with Kit in the Knight Rider series. The other thing is that the first movie, The Fast and the Furious, was written by Gary Scott Thompson. Gary Scott Thompson was brought in as a showrunner of the newer Knight Rider that featured the Shelby Mustang, the GT 500 KR. Continuation, voiced by Val Kilmer.
Wow.
Yeah, so interesting little line there. I don't think that Gary's work on Knight Rider was fantastic. I think he had interesting ideas, but I definitely feel like he had a lot more success with the Fast and the Furious series, although it's sort of gone off in its own direction now, where it definitely it evolved from let's steal stuff to let's make everything about family. And then now it's like, let's just save the world.
International spies, or international. I don't know what they became. It's like I just like them going around, street racing and stealing stuff.
Well, they had to keep moving because they were wanted in the United States. That's why they kept going to other locations.
Yeah, they had warrants, and they were basically. There's only a few countries in the world that don't have extradition.
Yep.
And I believe Brazil is one of those countries where isn't there extradition in Brazil?
I am not aware of that.
Well, because Brazil's a BRICS country, so probably not. I haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw yet. That's another.
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
It's another superhero film to me. Like the villain is literally pretty much a super villain with a super suit or something. Idris Elba. He's got some kind of strength enhancing suit. And that's about as much as I saw. But there's still back to my original point. There's still escapist movies. There's still fun movies to get away from reality.
Idris Elba.
So I think there's definitely an appeal. The Transformers movies, man, I love the first one. The second one, not so much. The third one I thought was great. I really liked the third one, Dark of the Moon.
That's the one.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the one with Leonard Nimoy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He plays Sentinel Prime.
They take over Chicago. There's a big battle there.
Yeah, they did a good job of setting up that betrayal. And I thought it was cool that he was also Galvatron in the Transformers animated movie.
Yeah, and well, so that's why they brought him in for the whole betrayal angle. That was like the point.
Yeah, well, I know that's what I liked about it. I thought that was a cool callback. I thought that was kind of the weak point of the other movies, was that they didn't do that.
Well, they tried to do their own thing. I mean, look, Revenge of the Fallen was written during the writer's strike, so obviously they had issues to deal with. But even with that aside, I didn't think it was planned very well. But that was because Michael Bay decided he wanted to be a writer and not a director. And everything has to be spectacle and over the top, even if it doesn't make any sense. And then they tried to reboot the whole thing with Age of Extinction by basically completely writing out Sam and Michaela and doing everything with Mark Wahlberg's character and his family, which I thought it was okay, but my God, Last Night is unwatchable for me. It's just terrible. It's
I like Mark Wahlberg.
It's like a 3-hour train wreck. It just gets progressively worse as it goes along. If you sat through The Last Night in the theater from beginning to end, I mean, that's an accomplishment. Because I had a real hard time sitting through that one.
I can't remember going to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, you would know if you saw it.
I saw the first Mark Wahlberg one, and The Last Night looks stupid. I skipped that one, but I did see the rest of the Transformer movies.
The Last Night has Anthony Hopkins, and he can't save the movie from being god awful. That's just my opinion. But I don't really know if there's other fans out there who liked The Last Night, because for one thing, Optimus Prime is barely in it.
I heard the Bumblebee movie was good, but I haven't seen that either.
Yeah, see, that's like an example of trying
my
to
kid-
reboot the
my kid
franchise that worked for me.
Yeah, my kids
Although
like the
it's supposed to be a prequel, but there's a lot of contradictory things that don't fit with the first movie. But if you just look past that, I thought it was great because it felt like an episode of the G1 series. You know, it was very simple plot, very simple stakes. The entire world wasn't getting invaded. You know, it was just about stopping the transmitter. And I liked that. I liked where they went with that one.
Are you talking about the cartoon Transformers movie or the first Michael Bay Transformers movie?
I should probably see where you guys are on YouTube. I don't have that window open.
Yeah, the cartoon. I like the cartoon much more too.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that was cool, and they brought Optimus Prime back, and they had like the evil virus that was infecting everybody.
Yeah.
They had to open the Matrix, and the Matrix was exhausted, and they had to rebuild Cybertron.
Yeah, I have.
Beast
I
Wars
have the
did a pretty
original
decent
cartoons
follow-up.
on DVD. And
I had of ways
I had to take them off my kids because they were abusing them, roughing them up, and it's like, yeah, it's like, nope, not letting you ruin these. No. Yeah,
Actually, thought in a lot of ways. Actually, thought in a lot of ways that Beast Wars, the writing was a little tighter in some places on Beast Wars.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but then it jumped the shark at the finale when they jumped right into Machine Wars. I was like, well, what's going on? I didn't understand anything from that point. It had a great finale where they find Optimus Prime and Megatron's bodies. And then what happened?
Yeah, I agree with you. That got a little weird. They commingled the spark or some weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
All right, this is embarrassing, but can one of you link me to the chat on YouTube or the stream on YouTube? I can't find it. So I can see what the chat says.
I've got it up. I can throw it in the private chat.
Yeah, I appreciate that if you could do that.
Transformers, we've talked about Wolverine, the X-Men, Superman. I put it in the private chat.
YouTube doesn't like you for some reason, Bear. They always suggest some
now.
different name every time you punch in your channel.
There we go. Now I can see who else is in the chat.
Put it in exactly the way the name of my channel appears. Otherwise, if you don't, you won't find it.
Yep. Well, even when you do that, it'll say, "Did you mean Bear Nerf gun?"
Mm-hmm.
Or some weird shit like that.
It does that. It's an auto correction thing. Because Nerf gun is a thing, you know. You go figure.
Well, a bear Nerf gun isn't a thing. I don't think.
And remember, Nerd Fund's capitalized. And then
Definitely
you gotta
poking holes in the wokeness, Matthew.
Yeah, wokeness.
I see that
an oxymoron.
Here's a thought.
Because if you click mine, then mine's at the top of the search. But if you search my name on Google, my channel name, I'm like the first 5 results on Google.
Yeah, you have to. It'll in very small letters say, or keep your search for bear nerd fun, and you have to click on the tiny little blue hyperlink to actually search for what you actually searched for. It's really stupid.
I think the reason the first Transformers movie was so good, if you're talking about the animated one, is that it was made by people who loved Transformers. And similarly with the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, it was written by a guy who has a genuine love for Transformers. Again, Tom DeSanto. And he structured the story specifically to appeal to Steven Spielberg and to use Steven Spielberg's tropes to get his attention, such as the boy finding a companion, which echoes E.T., and AI and things like that. So, of course, Steven Spielberg took an interest in the script, and that's how Transformers, the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, came about.
I thought they were doing a little too much Herbie the Love Bug in the first Transformers.
Hey, Dr. Mansley, if you think that's interesting, check this out.
In fact, I heard that was the reason why they changed Bumblebee from a Volkswagen Beetle into a Camaro, is because it was too much like Herbie the Love Bug.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a licensing issue.
Yeah, that's the search results when you search for my channel. It's kind of why I made my name the way it is for my channel.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's normally you would think that the first results wouldn't be what you're looking for, but yeah, I discovered it a few weeks ago when I just did a search, because someone says I was searching and couldn't find it. It's like I did a search, like, well, yeah, I was able to find it.
Well, if you know how to search for it, yes.
Yeah, and I always just let everyone know that when you search the channel, just make sure you search the proper spacing and
yeah, I didn't do that. That's why I couldn't find where the stream was.
If it's lowercase, you might have a more of a problem.
A lot of times when I do a stream, I'll have the StreamYard link and then the YouTube link underneath it. Because also sometimes you'll get StreamYard links and you don't know what the hell the topic is about until you click into it. It's like, what is this about?
Right.
And so it just helps to kind of eavesdrop in the chat for a few minutes for me, I think.
Lions, tigers, bears, and sheep. Yep, that's an apt title there, Bear.
Yep. And don't forget the pink elephant. Yep. The pink elephant that's parading everywhere. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Ghostbusters Afterlife?
I seen the preview, man. I think they might have something.
Prior to that was my #1 movie I was looking forward to this year. Without a doubt. I think that Ghostbusters Afterlife has the potential to be a great movie.
Yeah, I think so. I gotta say, I'm like you. I am looking forward to it. Really am.
You can tell, like, unlike the other movie, it seems to be coming from a place of love and a lot of respect for the mythology, especially from a visual standpoint. You see the original ghost trap, you see the proton packs, you see Ecto-1 pulled out of the barn. For me, yeah, it's member berries, I get it, but that's what made Ghostbusters great for me in the first place, was those visual icons. I just hope the story is as good as the visuals.
Yeah,
I'm not concerned about the Stranger Things kids, really, because it makes sense that you have to progress past the original team with the kids. That's just kind of a thing that happens with the movies. And it can work really well, or it can backfire and destroy a franchise. So we'll see.
Matthew, I really haven't watched Stranger Things.
Oh, it's great. Well, the first season's good. Another one's not so much.
I like the third season, and I like the first season. The second season was kind of...
Yeah, I would say second season's probably my least favorite.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was cool that they had the mall and they had the Russians. That made a lot of sense to me as far as where their storytelling was going. Because that seems like a very 80s thing to do.
Oh, yeah. Sure. And, of course, they reference Ghostbusters in, I think, the first episode of Season 2. Or is it Season... Whichever one, the Halloween thing they did.
Yeah, I think that was Season 2, because
Season
83,
2,
yeah, 83, 84, they're in 85. They reference Back to the Future. I think they had a clip of Back to the Future in...
they referenced Knight Rider in the first episode of Season 1. The dad is watching it on television, and what's his name? The Mike? I can't.
Yeah,
I'm bad with names, but he's messing with the antenna, trying to get Knight Rider in focus for his dad.
Which were you referring to that was woke? What's kind of woke?
We'll
because
never know.
It looks like he's referring to Season 3.
Antenna.
Season 3?
I'm sorry, say that again?
3 woke. Oh, I said kids will never know the joy of trying to adjust rabbit ears to get
balls of aluminum foil on the tips. Yeah.
Basically, I've got I have an antenna hooked up to my TV, the digital antenna, and it's kind of funny. It's reminiscent of the past. I get channel 13 in from Seattle. You know how hard that is? Pretty hard. And so that way, if and when there is Sunday football again, I can watch the football game, because normally the Sunday football game is on Fox 13.
Mike Wheeler. Yeah, I had it right. Sometimes I second guess myself. Mike's the one adjusting the antenna in the first episode. I sent a Stranger Things themed gift box to my buddy Adam F. Goldberg, who created the Goldberg Show, which had a lot of like little details from the first season. I recreated the H&L logo, the Hopkins, what is it, Water and Power logo from the van, and just fun details like that. Found an instruction manual for his walkie-talkie. It's pretty cool stuff. I also sent him a copy of the board game Upwards, because it appears on the shelf in the basement when the boys are playing Dungeons and Dragons. That's pretty cool stuff.
Wasn't there a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon?
Yes.
I seem to remember there was a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
What props did they do, Matthew? I'm sorry, go ahead.
And that was before they took Saturday morning cartoons off. I'm talking like maybe the early to mid 80s when that was on.
They had a lot of great kids stuff during the 80s, didn't they? Had like The Last Starfighter and
that was a great movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I saw that in the drive-in. You know what I miss are drive-ins, because okay, like at the end of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, they're in a drive-in, and if you're in a drive-in watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure in a drive-in, it's like you're there with them, and you can't do that. It's like that whole context and that whole experience is lost now.
I like the not to dwell on Henry Thomas per se, but I really like Flight of the Navigator and Cloak and Dagger. Those are some pretty fun gems from the 80s that were very like kid-centric.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Explorers. That's another one where they were in a drive-in.
Oh god, yes.
Yeah.
Explorers is amazing.
Seeing that in the drive-in where they fly over the drive-in,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, you know, in Knight Rider, there's a drive-in that Kid Turbo boosts at. I think he turbo boosts through a screen.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I didn't see that in the drive-in. So
Michael is dressed up as Clark Gable.
Really?
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I watched old school Knight Rider. Yep.
I have lived Knight Rider for the last 12 years. I've eat, breathed, and slept Knight Riders. The new stuff, the old stuff. And
yeah, because
I really enjoyed it. I really love it, you know. Like,
I even gave the Mustang Knight Rider a go when it came out.
I tried to give it a chance.
Hated all the characters. And I thought it was stupid.
Yeah, I was disappointed in it. About the really only thing that I liked about it was that 2005 body style for the Mustang that year. It was like a throwback to the 65 body style fastback. In other words, it's known as Eleanor. Speaking of Eleanor, I picked up the Gone in 60 Seconds.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they used well, I know Pontiac was dead by then, and I guess the Camaro and the Firebird were dead. Yeah, I guess they were fucked. They had to use a Mustang.
I wish.
Well, they could have used a Camaro. They could have.
I wish that GM would bring back special edition Firebirds and Trans Ams.
I worked on the Knight Rider motion picture script with Glenn, and the kit would have been a Camaro in that movie, in the feature film movie.
Because basically, if they were to do that, there might be a market for something like that. Because people like their nostalgia in their hot rods, you know. Getting a modern hot rod that's got the feel and look of
nostalgia sells. Member berries sell.
Yeah, they really do.
If it's done right.
You know what's interesting? That I was talking to Adam in Messenger on Facebook one time. It's fascinating that being a geek in school was very uncool. I mean, you were bullied, you were pushed around, you were mocked, you were laughed at. And now as adults, it's the in thing. It's like the hip thing to be, is to be a geek and to know about movies and to collect memorabilia and nostalgia, which is why shows like Stranger Things have such a mass appeal compared to other stuff that's out there.
Yeah. Entertainment, we like to entertain, but if we're entertainment, not really. We like to talk about pop culture stuff, nerd things, old movies, new movies. We don't like our pop culture changed or messed with. We don't like males turned into females just for their sake of virtue signaling. We like for there to be a strong female component without the female having to come down and talk down to that other component because they're in charge and they're the boss. And we don't like stuff like that because it can be done better than that. Yeah, exactly. Ripley's a very good example. Very good example of a strong female character. Yes, sir. And so we like stuff like that. And we don't need for Hollywood to virtue signal to us when there's characters like Sarah Connor, Ripley, and many others, Wonder Woman.
So, in 1939, I believe the two highest grossing movies were Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz, both with strong female characters. Mm-hmm. So it's not like there's anything new happening here, you know?
Well, I mean, if you want to go something more current than Aliens, what should I say, more modern than Aliens and Ellen Ripley, look at Celine from Underworld. Look at Alice from Resident Evil. Yep. All predating Rey from The Force Awakens.
Yeah, Alice is a very good example.
Yeah, we know the critic. Well, I don't know him, but I know his channel.
Yeah, we're subbed to his channel. Some of the other channels that we follow, we've seen him with them on their shows.
That's true. Female characters don't have to be action heroes to be strong.
Yep. Or they don't have to be Mary Sue's to be strong.
Right.
No, because strength doesn't mean invulnerability.
Strength of mind, man. Strength of spirit.
Strength is your smarts. It's your intelligence. It's not just the physicality.
Yeah, basically, we would like
so good. We would like. What was so good about Scarlett O'Hara, man? She had some smarts on her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like female protagonists as long as they do it right and basically don't destroy that character. It's hard to watch a character badly written. Doesn't matter whether it's a male or a female, you know. And
that's the thing. Like I would dislike Rey whether it was a female or a male, whether the character was female or male, just based on the way that character is portrayed.
Oh yeah, if Rey were male, we'd be saying what a cuck. Mm-hmm. We'd be saying what a dildo. It's just a bad
I hear
character.
good things about The Expanse. I've never seen it though. I know Doomcock really likes it.
I like the first 2 seasons, and the third one I didn't like so much. Sorry, Gary. I didn't like the 3rd season. I didn't like it. I knew it was following the books, but I did not like it. Yeah. That was cool because it started out with a 0G sex scene in the very first episode.
Okay.
I was like, that's one way to open your show.
Yes, we are fans of good depiction and well-written women. Yeah, integrity. Integrity in the writing for both men and women. Write a good story.
I'm a big fan of the hero's journey concept because it works.
Yep.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yep. Mercedes Lackey, very good writer. She wrote some really good books, and some of these people in Hollywood could really learn some lessons from her on how to write people that are LGBT, because she can write convincing characters that have integrity, and the writing's got integrity, and the story is good. And I always use her as an example, because a friend of mine turned me onto her books, and there wasn't something to read, so I read those books, and awesome books.
Well, let's imagine if Harry Potter was a woman, but we still respond to it the same way. I would, because I don't think gender matters. I don't think gender defines a character. Kind of hard to think about, though, huh? What if Hermione was the star of the Harry Potter franchise and not Harry? Would we still would we still feel the same about it? Would we still like it? Or would our perception change?
I haven't seen the Harry Potter movies. God, see, I'm probably like the worst.
I've got every Harry Potter
nerd in the nerd culture ever.
Yep, I admit it. Every Harry Potter movie on Vudu, got them all.
Oh, haven't seen them. I saw the first Lord of the Rings, but it was. I'm sorry, it was a snooze. I didn't enjoy it.
You have a lot of bravery saying that, because I feel the same way. I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy.
It's not an easy thing to adapt books into movies,
especially that length.
And I got to say, I really like the Lord of the Ring movies.
I liked the Hobbit book. I liked the Hobbit a lot, but I did not like. I mean, the first I fell asleep watching the first Lord of the Rings, and I never watched the other two. Yeah.
Well, the reason why a book will always be better than the movie is because books don't have production budgets. They don't have running times. They don't have actor availability and shooting schedules. A book lasts as long or as short as the time you invest into it, and the action scenes are as vibrant and inspirational or vivid as the author describes and as your mind creates. So to that end, when people say, well, I read the book and the book was better than the movie, well, of course the book's going to be better than the movie. Yeah. But in some cases, the book might not have been translated as well as a movie. Like, I don't know, for instance, I really like Christine, the movie, and I don't really care much for the book. But it's a matter of perception, It's what you want to get out of it.
Well, sure. It's true. There's like you, Wes, you like The Hobbit. I love The Hobbit.
Where there's
I thought The Hobbit was great.
There's a way. Yeah, that's great. Good stuff.
Oh, you mean the animated Basque one? Yeah, that's cool. It's catchy. I hated the Return of the King animated movie, though. I'm sorry. It was just too... The animation style was too all over the place for me.
Talk about the part 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the part 1 better. It looked...
Oh, no, you're talking about the live action. I was talking about the animated movie.
Animation, yes. I'm talking about the animation.
Okay.
The part 1 animation, the first one.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I liked how that was done. I don't like the one that looks more like it was made for kids.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm not all crazy about that one.
I'm not a big fan of the live-action Lord of the Ring movies, but I did really like the Hobbit movies. I thought the Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, and was it There and Back Again? I thought those were good movies.
Well, I've got all the extended Lord of the Rings, and I've got all the extended Hobbit.
Cool. I'm not much of a war epic guy. Like I like personal conflicts between like two characters. Like imagine if you have Count Dooku and Anakin dueling in Attack of the Clones, except instead of having Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Dooku in a hangar bay, you have Anakin, Dooku, and Obi-Wan fighting in the middle of the battlefield with 1,000 robots fighting 1,000 clone troopers, and there's lightning and there's blaster bolts going everywhere. At the same time, they're trying to duel with their lightsabers, and you're seeing them from like up close and then far away, and then all of this stuff is going on.
Well, they kind of did that in the arena, didn't they?
Yeah, instead of just having them fight one-on-one, it just feels to me like it's more impactful to focus on two characters in conflict than a bunch of cannon fodder surrounding it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Other people have vastly different feelings, but for me, I'm just not much of a war epic guy. Well, I like the generals on the battlefield. I don't really care about the defying the odds, cannon fodder armies against cannon fodder armies.
Well, I like the generals on the battlefield aspect more so than the actual things going on, because sometimes one of the things going on is the generals in the battlefield doing the strategizing, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's quite a few movies out there, and that are similar to that. Have you seen 1917?
I have not. I've heard good things about it, though.
Yeah, I've heard it was really good.
Pretty good. Yeah, really good. It shows what, not to give any of the movie away, but the two main characters that basically are sent on a mission, and the way they interact with one another, it's pretty cool. It's a different aspect that they show of a war movie.
Well, that's always good. I'm not a big war movie guy, but I really did like Saving Private Ryan. That was really well done.
Really well done. Yeah, I don't think it was worth it to save him, if you want my opinion. But
well, I don't either.
I mean, it's based in real life, though. That really happened. I liked Flags of Our Fathers and Sands of Iwo Jima a lot. I thought that was kind of neat to see the same conflict from two different sides the way it was.
Oh, sure. That's always fun.
Let's see here.
I think Clint Eastwood did those two.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because
he does great movies that are very character focused. I watched The Mule the other night. That's actually a pretty fun movie too. It's very simple, but it's engaging.
I seen Midway recently. I can't remember what I watched it on.
Dunkirk. Oh man, I had to leave the theater. I couldn't watch Dunkirk.
Oh, I couldn't either.
The noise. Something about the noise was just. I had to get out of there.
It's too loud, huh? And the way they did their.
Yeah, maybe they replicated war a little too accurately for me. I had to get out of there.
Yeah, Band of Brothers is a good series too, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen Crimson Tide.
Oh, absolutely. Jeez, I can't even count how many times I've seen Crimson Tide.
I like my submarine war movies. You know,
that's the one with Denzel, right?
Yeah, Gene Hackman.
Yeah, I'm the commander of this fucking ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
And
the music, just the music, the score. Wow.
The music and
Jerry
the tension,
Bruckheimer at his best.
The tension between those two was freaking amazing.
I mean, well, Hans Zimmer's score added a lot to that movie, no doubt. I mean, that's if you've seen the unrated expanded version too, it's such a great movie.
Oh, and basically one of the great submarine movies, U-571.
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Yeah, Matthew. I'm a Matthew McConaughey fan.
What's the one I saw the other day?
Quite a few.
Hunter Killer. That one wasn't that great.
Oh yeah, he was in Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, he did really well in Wolf of Wall Street. I've seen everything I've seen him in. I always end up he does a good job in it.
Yeah, I have Hunter Killer.
I'll have to check that out though.
It's with Gerard Butler, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
I thought it was okay.
I didn't think it was a huge blockbuster, but I thought for a submarine movie, I thought it was all right.
It started out well enough, I thought, but then once they got to the country, and I'm not going to get into spoilers, they saw nefarious things going on. They kind of lost interest.
Yeah, I got one for Red October. That's a good one too.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was a great movie.
All the Jack Ryan movies are really good.
Matter of fact, I have all the Jack Ryan
Except
movies.
Patriot Games. I didn't care for that one. That was a little dumb.
Yeah, I didn't quite like Patriot Games either, but Clear and Present Danger, man, that was a good one. That was a very good movie.
I liked.
That was 92.
What was the one Ben Affleck?
Oh, the
Some of All Fears.
Some of All Fears. That was a good one too.
Yeah, that was good. I watched what is it? Enemy of the State recently. Yeah, I just watched that. That was really good.
Yeah, that's a really good Will Smith seriousness right there.
You watch that movie and you won't look up for a while.
I mean, Gene Hackman. I don't think Gene Hackman's made a bad movie.
Oh, then there's
He's such a powerful actor.
Wait, he did
The
something
Gene
with
Hackman
Nicholas
movie
Meyer, where Nicholas Meyer wasn't happy with him, and I can't remember what that movie was.
What Gene Hackman did?
Yeah, Nicholas Meyer was directing, and Gene Hackman, I guess, was in it, and they hated each other.
Huh.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is, well, obviously Superman, but I really like The Quick and the Dead. That's the Sam Raimi one. You know, the Western with Sharon Stone?
Mm-hmm.
That was
that's Gene Hackman at his best in that one. Jeez.
Yeah, that was a great movie. What's his name? DiCaprio.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio, Russell Crowe.
That was one of his first.
Lance Henriksen's in it too. A lot of great people.
Role for him.
Yeah, he was really young in that one.
I've seen the Jack Ryan series, Matthew Fowler, and I really liked the first season and thought it was a masterpiece. And the second season, I'm having trouble getting through it.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, I really liked the first season, but the second season is just putting me to sleep.
I felt that way with Castle Rock. I really wanted to like Castle Rock, the Stephen King universe series.
Mm-hmm.
Just I couldn't get through the first season. I couldn't stick with it.
Yeah, another good Gene Hackman movie is Behind Enemy Lines.
Behind Enemy Lines. Oh yeah,
yeah. That was a good one.
Now I have to look up and find out which movie
Absolute
that
Power was okay too.
That's the one where
with Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Another good one is Heist. That's a decent one.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it was. It's. I don't know. It's almost darn near a cult crime movie now because it's one of those ones that is really good, really decent.
He's 90 years old. Wow.
Yeah, him and Sean Connery are up there.
Yeah.
Well, Sean Connery gave it quits after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, that was it. He was done. Don Murphy ruined him.
Yeah.
Did they not get along?
What's that?
Todd Murphy. Was there an issue with them getting along?
No, it's just it was just an awful movie. It was a career-killing movie. Like nobody who was in that movie went on to be super successful from it. Don Murphy was also one of the producers on the Transformers films.
Yeah, I think there's still a few submarine movies that I haven't quite got yet in my collection. But yeah,
Das Boot.
yeah, the U571. I got that in a thrift store, and it's the collector edition DVD.
Cool.
Can't beat a $2 two something for a good movie. Can't beat that.
Yeah, you could.
Oh yeah, I snap up Blu-rays and DVDs whenever they're on sale, just because to have them. They don't make, in my opinion, you're not ever going to get a hard R movie like RoboCop. That's why the RoboCop remake was just bad. Wasn't horrible and watchable because it's got Michael Keaton and Michael Kinnunen. I think that's how you say his name. Was a great actor, but you can't make movies like that anymore. Unfortunately, with the PC culture that we have now, the SJW world's controlling everything, you can't have politically incorrect films. And I mean, RoboCop still stands the test of time. The original RoboCop.
Yep. Well, you know what? RoboCop 2, in a way, kind of predicted the SJW hyper PC world that we're living in right now.
Oh yeah. Well, so did Demolition Man.
Yeah. Like RoboCop, always, he has to be polite and can't say certain things, otherwise the parents get offended, and eventually they make him such a pussy, and there's so many directives he tries to kill himself and wipes out all his directives.
Yeah. Well, I think RoboCop 2 wasn't that written by Frank Miller?
I don't remember. Let me see. Why?
I believe it was.
I remember not liking the score as much because they didn't have. Was it Basil?
It wasn't Basil Pilatus?
Yeah, it was somebody else.
Oh.
RoboCop 2, Frank Miller. I guess it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wow. Huh. Yeah, if they would have, Leonard Rosenman. He did the score for Star Trek 4.
Ah.
Frank Miller, Sin City. Same guy?
Yes.
Yeah, RoboCop 2 and 3.
Well, Frank Miller is a comic book artist / writer. So, yeah.
So, yeah, he wrote the screenplay for RoboCop 2 and 3. He also did work on the video game.
Oh, God, 3 was awful. I don't know what they were thinking with RoboCop 3.
Yeah.
That was so bad, Peter Weller didn't come back.
Yep. Okay, Gene Hackman, the movie he was in that was directed by Nicholas Meyer that they didn't get along with was called Company Business.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, apparently it flopped.
What year?
1991.
Yeah, Sam Boyd. Played Sam Boyd. Hey, there's an in-ground coliseum called Sam Boyd out in Nevada, in Las Vegas. Sam Boyd Amphitheater. It's not called that no more, of course. They changed the name. Company Business. Hey, an assassin movie.
Yeah. All right, see you, Matthew Fowler.
The Chamber was an interesting, serious movie that Gene Hackman did, where he plays the white supremacist that allegedly bombs a attorney's office, I think, something like that. Of course, we can't forget Unforgiven, right?
Yep. Really?
Or, well, I guess we can't forget No Way Out. Wasn't one of Costner's best ones.
I
Hey,
remember
Tyler,
it being a snooze.
are you on Twitter?
Oh, gosh, yes, the Poseidon Adventure. That's one of his best too. One of his earlier works.
Wait, who was going to direct the third one? Was Peter Weller going to direct RoboCop 3?
I don't think so. He wasn't even in RoboCop 3.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out what RR is saying. Who directed the third one?
Oh,
Maybe
I think he's referring to. Well, no, I think he's referring to Frank Miller, but he said directed, so I don't. It kind of throws me off.
What do you? Hey Wes, what do you think Tyler Mongo means? RoboCop is MK11.
Oh, RoboCop is in Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Video.
Yeah,
He was just announced about a week ago, I think.
Yeah, I seen an article that was talking about that. Well, that's cool. You can play RoboCop. Now, do you have to play so far and unlock it? I wonder.
I think it's the DLC. You have to pay for the content.
Man, what happened to putting the disc in and playing?
It just stands for downloadable content.
That's how they get you, man. I guess Fallout 76 is having a really big issue with milking the customers. Supposedly you have to pay a subscription, and you have to pay for this and pay for that, nickel and dime you to even make the game playable.
You know what?
Oh,
they can keep their game.
Well, I bought the high-end PS4 for Battlefront 2, and I wasn't aware that in order to unlock the multiplayer and the space battles and stuff, you have to pay for a PlayStation Gold subscription. PlayStation Plus subscription. And it's like, what the heck, man?
Yeah, I think I forget how much it is. I think it's gone up a lot.
I'm sure it has.
Started out as like $40, and I think it might even be
like the 60, and who knows what it's now. Yeah,
I think it might even be.
Yeah, you can spend anywhere between $50 and $60 for a basic PS4.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 11. I think it's 11, or was it 10? Had Freddy Krueger in it. I think they might have put Jason Voorhees in one of them.
I seem to recall something like that. And I think I may even play
Alien and Predator in them as well. Well, it's the Jackie Earle Haley Freddy Krueger, not the great Robert Englund one.
I thought the Dark Knight Returns it was very much of its time. I didn't like the girl Robin. What was her name?
Yeah,
that seemed kind of weird to me. The older Bruce Wayne was kind of cool though.
You talking about his romantic interest?
No,
it was a female Robin.
Yeah, she had these big dorky looking glasses.
She had like short, was it red hair? So you see
a
redhead?
Yeah.
There you go, Carrie Kelly. Sentinel's got it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that, Tyler. I haven't been following all the Mortal Kombat installments, but I did know that they were downloadable characters. Jason, Alien, Leatherface. Yeah.
Gosh, I don't think I've played a Mortal Kombat game since Mortal Kombat 4.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way, actually.
That's when they changed from... God dang it.
I think PS3 is the last time I played Mortal Kombat.
I'm trying to... They changed from... God dang it. What's the style of the SNES, and then they went to the whatever the... Polygons. Yeah, they went to the polygons, and the animation was all weird.
Yeah.
They tried to go 3D, and it just didn't work for me.
Garbage, yeah. I think the last Mortal Kombat I played was Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate Edition.
I've actually got that on my PS3 still.
Yeah.
Which I actually still have my PS3. I've got a launch PS3. I've got the one that you can play PS2 games on.
Well, I heard the PlayStation 5 is supposed to be backwards compatible with all previous PlayStation games. Did you hear about that?
I've heard about it, but I'm not sure if it's going to be like you pop the disc in and you get a license to play it through PlayStation Now, or how they're going to execute it.
Yeah, because I mean, I'd be down with buying a new one if I can play my PlayStation 1 games. I still have them, like Parasite Eve and original Final Fantasy without the SJW changes and, things like that.
PS3 for $600.
Streets of Rage.
Sentinel, the PS3 was actually a 30th birthday present for me. Oh,
yeah, I used to have a PS3. I think I spent $250 for it when I got it new.
I have it, but I upgraded to the PS4 Star Wars edition, Battlefront edition with Vader. He's kind of painted on the front, and it's got the Star Wars logos etched on the surface and on the controller. It's pretty cool. It was It's pretty damn expensive back in the day, but I wanted it.
The PS4 is just a much better machine than the PS3 was, unfortunately.
Yes, it takes up less space. Like literally less space on your shelf.
Yeah, it's faster. God, those downloads used to take forever.
Oh,
and
I know.
You couldn't play while it was downloading. Couldn't multitask. It's the PS3 is a much more beautiful machine. I'll give it that. The launch ones were.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I like the animated versions of the Dark Knight Returns Part 1s and Part 2 that Warner Brothers made. Peter Weller was the voice of Batman in
Under the Red Hood.
In one of those, wasn't he?
I thought it was Under the Red Hood, wasn't it?
Might be. No, I think he was in the Dark Knight Returns.
Wait, who was under the Red Hood? Was it Bruce Greenwood? Was Bruce Greenwood under the Red Hood?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I have all the Dark Knight movies on Vudu. That was the one.
Yes, Peter Weller was the voice of Bruce Wayne and Batman in The Dark Knight Returns, Part 1 and Part 2.
Who did Under the Red Hood? It was Bruce. Okay, it was Bruce Greenwood. That's right. They had Neil Patrick Harris as Dick Grayson. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually bought him as Dick Grayson.
I can't remember people's names, but I can remember these stupid pop culture facts, All this weird data about movies.
Boy, Batman, that's a franchise that hasn't been ruined. Well, hasn't been ruined yet.
Yeah, well, the Batman hasn't come out yet, so I don't know.
Let's cross our fingers, keep our fingers crossed on that one.
Well, personally, I'm not feeling Robert Pattinson, but I try to give everyone a chance.
Yep, give it a chance. He seems too young for the role, honestly. I like the idea of the older Bruce Waynes that have alienated the people in their lives and are jaded and bitter, and the whole.
Well, that's kind of his thing. Like dark and broody is his thing. So it makes Batman Batman.
Yeah, I was talking about who was I talking? I forget what stream I was on, but wait, was it FinalDeathStar we were on? Was it when we were on Bear? But we're talking about what could have been if Heath Ledger had lived.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, what the third Batman would have been, and or Dark Knight series would have been, and just think of this: Joker on trial, and Joker getting off because of all the stuff that they did.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been an amazing movie. What a shame. I mean, I guess they probably could have.
The road's not taken. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the third one was good. It was a little choppy.
it suffers from the same problem I have with the Marvel films. It solves its problems with the Deus Ex Machina. And it kind of ruins, because let's face it, the movie's been out forever, so I'm not going to say spoiler alert here. Batman got his ass kicked by Bane the entire time in The Dark Knight Rises. And if Catwoman hadn't shown up as the Deus Ex Machina at the last second to save his ass, he would have lost another fight. Yeah. So, as far as the story goes, I felt like it didn't do Batman a lot of justice. But visually speaking, I mean, it's Christopher Nolan. The dude knows how to shoot cinematic sequences and action sequences and keep you visually engaged. I thought Bane was a great character. I thought he had a lot of great depth to him. I thought that Talia Al Ghul was entirely unnecessary and distracting.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Because Batman and Bane was the highlight of the Batman comics, was when Bane broke Batman's back.
Yep. It was almost kind of, that was I would have loved to have seen a thwack like that instead of the just kind of dropping Batman on his knee and
Yeah, well, in the comic it was a lot more devastating. There was like blood dripping on his knee, and it took a long time for Batman to take his mantle back from Jean Paul Valley, aka Azrael. Yeah, they couldn't capture that in the movie, though. They didn't have enough time, even with a nearly 3-hour running time. It's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, it is.
Sentinel says, Rises is garbage. Batman never quits. Yeah, I had a real problem with that. I didn't.
Well, how lazy do you have to be to name your follow-up movie the same as your second movie, except you throw Rises on the end of it, in the end of a trilogy that's not going to go anywhere else? Rises to what? Retirement? Just call it The Dark Knight Retires.
Look what Tyler says. I could agree with that because basically I wasn't real happy with what it was, but there were some people in it that I liked. Gordon. I liked Gordon's character. I thought that
Gary
was
Oldman. How can you go wrong?
You could kind of hear his real accent creep out in the
honestly, I think Gary Oldman is the reason why I like the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, maybe if he wasn't in it, probably I would not have had the same appeal.
I would say I'm not a big fan of the trilogy as a whole, but it is definitely up there in my favorite Batman movies, because even if the story doesn't quite gel very well, it's definitely escapist entertainment. It's like Martin Scorsese movies. It draws you into the environment, where if you're in like the theater in IMAX, you're no longer aware you're in a theater in IMAX. You feel like you're there, as a fly on the wall or whatever. You're in that period. You're in that environment. It's a journey, it's a journey. And that was the appeal for me, aside from, comic book fandoms and Batman's backstory. I really liked Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. I liked that she kind of channeled some Julie Newmar aspects to her character. It was interesting that they made her cat ears from the goggles. That was a different approach. And I liked how she was like a chameleon, and she could change her appearance and her mannerisms to blend in with the environment and the people she was dealing with. But the Wall Street thing made no sense to me. Like Bruce Wayne losing all of his money by making bad trades. I think that they completely lost me on that one.
Yeah, I don't think that was one of the best ways to go for a story.
No, that was
pretty unfocused.
Yeah. But there are some SJW overtones with the whole class and society thing that are in that film. Doesn't particularly ruin it, but it does feel like it bogs it down in unnecessary political messaging. But I did. I still like The Dark Knight Rises. I just don't think it was the better of the trilogy. I really like The Dark Knight. I think Heath Ledger's performance is far from overrated. I think he did a fantastic job. I mean, I never thought anyone could make me like the Joker more than Jack Nicholson. Although Jack Nicholson's Joker was more like Jack Nicholson in makeup playing himself. Yeah. That's a bad thing. Just there's a distinct difference between Heath Ledger's approach and Jack Nicholson's approach to the character.
Well, Jack Nicholson, correct me if I'm wrong, but he negotiated a contract so he gets paid on every Batman movie made, right?
I have no idea on that.
Yeah, that dude's probably swimming in dough.
Oh, he's done so many great movies. I'm sure he's got royalties coming out of his ass, you know, paying for all those Laker ticket box seats, you know.
Yep.
Would you believe I just went into the command box for the stream and it says the conditions are excellent, completely green.
I don't see any lag over on my end.
Yeah, because I hardly ever go in to the studio in the live stream in the box in there, you know.
Yeah, I like Batman Begins a lot. I think much of that is attributed to how well Liam Neeson portrayed Ra's al Ghul and how well Christian Bale emoted struggling to become Batman. I loved how he had the prototype suit and he spray paints it black, and then he goes out and he gets his ass kicked and he has to go back and make more. He has to make more gadgets and stuff to even the playing field. And then, of course, Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow is fantastic, too.
I think I have to agree that the Batman Begins is probably a little bit better. Probably the best movie for me because it feels more like a comic book movie to me.
Sure, yeah.
Dark Knight.
Well, Dark Knight's like a police drama more than a comic book movie. It's more like police corruption, you know, political corruption kind of thing.
Yeah, that like the Harvey Dent Two-Face, that happened a little too rapidly for me.
Yeah, you know, I kind of yeah, it was a rapid turn to get him there, but I understand. Like, I like the psychological scarring because he got half his face burned off and lost his girlfriend. I mean, that would definitely push you over the edge.
Definitely not small change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a profit on the back end. Yep.
Oh, 60 million. Damn. Yeah.
Nicholson's no fool, that's for sure.
Of course, 60 million, you know, hey, set up your own charity, make a big donation, you still get your money.
Nicholson's Joker was more accurate to, like, yeah, I'd agree with that, Sentinel. Although I don't think in the comic books the Joker killed Batman's family. That was a guy named Joe Chill.
So that's what that would be in Now's money.
Dollars lost
part of what made Batman who he is. Yeah, well, they had a lot of emotional damage with losing Heath Ledger. Not emotional damage, production damage from a story standpoint. I'm sure there was a different plan in place by Chris and Jonathan before that happened.
For sure. I mean, if they would have gone with him being on trial, they could have, I guess, shot the back of somebody's head or something.
I just don't like the idea they completely excluded him from it. And they said that Harvey Dent was the reason that, that Rachel was the reason that Bruce Wayne decided to give up being Batman, and that Harvey Dent was responsible for that. No, we know it was the Joker who pushed Batman over the edge, and he was the reason that Bruce chose to retire. It wasn't Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent hardly did anything to Batman other than Batman taking the rap for his death at the end of The Dark Knight. But I understand like wanting to be sympathetic to the family for their losses and all of that stuff. But I think there's something to be said about removing someone's memory from something great. Like, you know, they won't show the Twin Towers anymore, so therefore the Twin Towers have basically been canceled and will never be shown again, given all the emotional connections to it in any film or production. But I don't think Heath Ledger overdosing or whatever is a central point of the films. So I would have liked to have seen at least some resolution there. Except I guess in the book they said that he was at a different prison and that's why he wasn't sprung when all the other criminals were let loose in Dark Knight Rises. But that's kind of a cop-out, you know? Like you said, you could shoot someone from the back of the head and resolve it better than that. He instead of, you know, when you see Bruce Wayne with his cane sequestered away, it would have been vastly more powerful if he had a tape recorder in his hand playing back the Joker's comments to him from the last movie.
Yeah, Sentinel, I gotta agree with you on that one.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they had basically a moment to write her character in a similar fashion to, you know, an echo of Nicole Kidman. You know, they could have done something similar, only
like
they could have changed
You mean
it.
Chase Meridian from Batman Forever?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love Batman Forever. It's a guilty pleasure. I know a lot of people hate it. And obviously many people hate Batman and Robin, but I really liked Batman Forever.
Yeah.
I can't. I believe that all the old Batmans are going to come out on 4K.
Oh, well, I'm not a 4K guy.
I am. I don't like HDR so much.
HDR makes the screen too dark.
Yeah, I agree. I wish there was a way to turn the HDR off, or they should improve HDR to where it's brighter, because it makes me have to jack up the brightness so I can see the freaking movie, you know?
Well, you know, I was just going to say, the problem with making Bruce a simp for Rachel is that Batman Begins spends all this time, and then Dark Knight Rises reminds the audience that he said Batman was supposed to be a symbol, not a man, you know, something beyond a man, because a man can be corrupted, a man can be emotionally compromised, but a symbol can strike fear in the hearts of criminals and whatnot. And they lost touch with that. Instead of making it about Batman as a symbol of peace and justice, they made it about Bruce Wayne making everything about himself and being a disheveled, broken down wreck, losing confidence in himself. And I think that's why Dark Knight Rises sort of misses the mark on being a better, greater Batman movie than it became. Because in most of that movie, Batman gets his ass kicked.
Pretty fiercely.
Pretty fiercely.
I don't know how it is for you, but when I'm watching movies and there's falling, crashing, banging, and when the person's falling down, kicking, fighting, every impact, my body jerks every time. I don't know what it is. It's must be the anticipation.
Could be.
Of the movie, but every time someone gets hit, I literally kind of feel it. My body jerks or something. It's really weird. And it's funny because those kind of movies, sometimes I got to watch something else because I literally feel the impact.
Sounds like it's triggering your fight or flight reflex.
More than likely, yeah.
Because you're so engrossed in the movie that you're feeling like you're in that situation and trying to react to it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, every time someone gets hit, yeah, it's my whole body jerks because there's and when someone falls in a way that I've fell before, That oh man, that's like reminiscent. It's pulling off of a memory. You ever slip on ice and then lose your feet going up and forward, and you kind of have to throw yourself back a little bit so you fall on your elbow and your ass, then rather than the back of your head. That's happened to me.
I'll just say that I went skiing once and will only have ever gone skiing once. I don't like not being in control of my own feet.
Same here. Because what happened was,
skiing?
you know those parking blocks between the curb and where the parking block is at? Well, I stepped on some fresh snow. Normally, you don't slip on fresh snow. Well, I didn't know that fresh snow was on top of ice.
Yep.
So I slipped and fell on my butt. That hurt. So yeah, every time, every impact that he's going through in that movie, I feel all of it.
You can feel it, yeah.
Yes. And I guess that's what I like about action movies, where there's lots of stuff like that, or there's a truck impact with another truck. It's like I feel all that.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the movies that, like I mentioned before, I really like Scorsese films because it feels like you're in that time period. You're a fly on the wall watching these things happen. One of my favorite movies of all time is Casino, because the performances with Sharon Stone and Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro, the environments, the sets, the music, it's so engrossing. It just draws you in. Whenever Casino's on, if I got nothing going on, I'll just sit there and watch it, even though I know how it's going to end, and I pretty much know the movie by heart. It's just, I think Scorsese has a wonderful way of drawing you into his world. The Irishman,
I was just thinking
wasn't my favorite. That one didn't quite do it for me.
It's a bit of a snooze.
Well, it feels like it's a remake of all the other Scorsese films, mixed in with Jack Nicholson's Hoffa.
Yeah, Hoffa was better. Told the story in a better way, I thought.
Yeah, way better.
Well, basically what I thought it was like almost 3 hours long, something like that.
It was
I think
long
it may have been
movie.
longer than that.
Movie. And they had a lot of transitioning. Basically, these were like mob boss guys that were in their elder age, and these were about old guys. And so the movie's not gonna move the same way that some of the other mob movies would move with younger folks. These guys are in the end of their years,
Oh,
and
sure.
so we're getting. It was kind of the way I look at it. We're getting from the other window view of everything that happened.
That basically, what would Rothstein look like after all the events in Casino happened, and now he's a no one, betting on horses again, and then what's his life like now, kind of deal, like past your prime into retirement sort of approach. I mean, I appreciate the approach that he took, but
I gotta say, it took me
just didn't feel.
It took me 3 days to watch it.
Took me 2.
2? Yeah, it took me 3.
Yeah. I tried to give it one go the whole way through. I think I had to try to a second time, and it's just like all I could think about was how much better of a movie Hoffa was. That's all I could think about.
Oh my gosh, yes. It felt like an inferior remake of Hoffa to me, but
meandering, boring.
I liked Al Pacino. I thought he was interesting. But it didn't have the same pace. It didn't have the energy of other Scorsese films. Yeah. It was just let's get in a car and reminisce about old times. Pretty much. And most of the movies end driving to some location, talking about things they did in their past and doing flashbacks.
Yep. Yeah. Well, see, that's why Hoffa works a lot better than that movie. It's so much better.
yeah, you can't take the bat out of Bruce, and you can't take Bruce out of the bat.
That's right.
A lot of times, maybe Scorsese is suffering from what George Lucas suffered from, and that's that, you're a victim of your own success. You think you can do no wrong. People give you a long leash and...
James Cameron. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I think there's a poll going on Twitter, and he has two of the most overrated movies. He won on the poll for two of the most overrated movies of all time, Avatar and Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look.
Boost for Caprio.
Avatar and Titanic are, I think, successful movies of their time. We look back on them now, and it's just like, it wasn't such a big deal. But back in the day, like, that was a thing, right? So you had the same kind of phenomenon with Disney's Frozen. Frozen got immensely popular and spread like wildfire and was promoted and hyped up and, was loved at the Oscars and all this other stuff. And then Frozen 2 came out and not as great. It's basically a very weird feminist-driven story with B-sides instead of a memorable hit like Let It Go. I mean, Into the Unknown is a decent song and all, but it doesn't have the power and the inspiration of Let It Go. And I think the same thing's going to happen with Avatar 2. I don't really care if Avatar 2 comes out. And he's making, 5 more movies? 4 more sequels to that thing?
Allegedly.
I think the reason why Avatar got so much attention wasn't so much for its very Dances with Wolves plot.
It was Ernest Goes to Camp in Space.
Yeah, it's the Thunder Smurfs meets Fern Gully meets Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas. It's that same story trope. And you can throw in, to some degree, the Postman in there, too. It was the 3D technology that was the big deal because of the red camera. It was a version, an immersive 3D we had never experienced before.
It was very immersive.
Save for maybe Captain EO at Disneyland with the IMAX stuff. But now it's all commonplace. But back in the day, man, Captain EO was a mind blower when it came to 3D films.
Haven't seen it.
Really? Never seen Captain EO?
No, I mean, I think.
Are you just not a Michael Jackson guy?
Well, we never got to Disneyland. I went to Disneyland in '82 when I was 5 years old. That's when Disneyland, I think, was really sucking, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, Captain EO at Star Tours and Indiana Jones were the main, in my opinion, the main attractions that put Disneyland back on the map.
Yeah, see, I got there when everything was falling apart. We were on that Thunder Mountain train. That was the funnest thing we did.
Well, if you haven't seen Captain EO, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. It's a great... I mean, it was directed by George Lucas. Or no, excuse me. It was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and I believe co-written by George Lucas.
Huh.
It has a very... It's got great music. It's it's like a short story. It's a 20-minute film, but gosh, if you saw it at Disneyland, it was the original Captain EO was amazing. It was the first 5D experience where you're watching the movie. It's in 3D. There's lights going everywhere. There's literally laser beams shooting out of the screen at you.
Hey, Tyler Mongo, I could believe that.
Michael Jackson wanted to buy. Yeah, I believe that too.
Well, he did buy the Beatles catalog, so.
Well, he bought a whole bunch of music catalogs.
Well, he bought his role in Men in Black too. Men in Black 2, literally Men in Black 2.
Really?
Did you not see Men in Black 2?
Yeah.
He's in it.
Really? Must be forgettable.
Well, he played an alien in Men in Black 1. But you wouldn't know it's him because he played an alien with a thing on his head. You'd never know it was him.
Wow.
So to make up for not having him featured in the first movie, they gave him a small cameo in the second movie. Says, I can be Agent M. Hello. Hello? I can be Agent M. It's pretty funny.
Remember my brother when we were kids. I think this is right around the time Bad came out.
Yeah, Toxic Man gets it.
my brother got a book for Christmas on Michael Jackson that charted all of his plastic surgery changes.
Oh, geez, yeah.
A lot of people were in denial about that. Like, it was staring them right in the face, and they just had this cognitive dissonance about
Literally, yeah. I think Michael was at his peak during his black or white days. When he's kept changing his face past that, it got pretty bad. But his goal was to look like Prince. And he finally sort of achieved that in the You Are Not Alone Lisa Marie Presley days. And then, I don't know what happened from there. His face just... He
started
just struggled to have a face at that point, you know?
Like chemical bleaching and stuff, you know?
Well, yeah, the whole vitiligo thing.
I don't buy the vitiligo. Yeah, I don't buy it.
I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson's music. You can say what you will about the man's lifestyle or whatever, but the dude was a musical icon.
Musical accomplishments like you wouldn't believe.
You will never ever forget Michael Jackson's contribution to music. That's why the SJWs failed to cancel him. They tried as hard as they could, especially after that really bogus and terrible documentary came out, Leaving Neverland, just rife with BS.
That's the one that came out after he died, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember when he did the interview with the kid that allegedly in the thing and the such, but
yeah. If you want to have a lot of good information on why that documentary is full of crap, find Razor Fist. He has picked that apart at length.
I think
YouTube
I've seen
Razor Fist.
Yeah, Parrothead. I think I've watched some of them.
Yep.
Yeah, pre-1993. Yeah, he was a deity. I think really up to Bad, right around when Bad came out. I think that was his peak. Was Bad. I
didn't watch any of the documentaries about Michael Jackson because it's just not something at the time that I was really paying attention to. Because I spent a number of years traveling around the country, following a rock and roll band for quite a while.
Yeah, the first VHS tape I ever bought from a video store was Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. I love that movie so much at the time.
My
cost
dad
$50 for that thing.
Wow.
My dad used to actually be able to do the moonwalk. He would do the moonwalk quite a lot.
I could do the moonwalk too.
Tried to teach me how to do it, and I couldn't. I'm uncoordinated.
I can kind of do it. I can't. I mean, it's not pretty, but I can do a decent moonwalk. A lot of it is in the shoes. A lot of it's in those loafers and the surface that he's doing it on. So he had special shoes for the lean, right?
The Gangsta Lean,
Criminal.
Yeah. Yep. Well, he either had a hook and he went over a stud in the floor, or he had I think that's how it worked, right?
Yeah, there was like a slot cut out of the heel, and there'd be
Toxic like Man. I've been to 42 Grateful Dead concerts.
Yeah,
I did watch the documentary in the theater. This Is It.
Yes, that's so good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it was also bittersweet because we never got to see that concert.
Yeah, it looked like he was really enjoying himself. He looked really calm and at peace.
Well, up until that point, I kind of bought into I didn't fully believe that he was dead, or or you know, I thought like maybe he faked his death or whatever to get out of that. But then you see that documentary and you realize like how much passion he had for that concert. So it really is a tragedy because I mean, if we had just gotten one concert, one performance in its entirety as he intended it to be, that's all we would ever need. But instead, we just get these glimpses of what could have been. And in that respect, for me, it feels very bittersweet. Especially since he's not performing at his full level on stage. He's just like lowering his voice. And
what
like,
really astonished...
Hold on, guys. I'm not a hippie. There were people that referred to me that way. And there was also people that referred to me as a deadhead. But I never really referred to myself as that. But I did follow the Grateful Dead, and there were a whole bunch of us that did follow the Grateful Dead as well. But yeah, I like their music.
Well, you know, the Goldbergs referenced Grateful Dead too, and the Deadheads nickname.
Seem to recall hearing that.
The thing that really I thought blew me away about This Is It was just like how I always associate Michael Jackson with being kind of passive, but he was very assertive in that documentary. He's like, you do it this way. I want you to play the bass that way.
That's cool.
I want this over here.
Yeah. Well, he was a perfectionist, you know, like everything he did was right on cue.
Yeah, at one point in time, yes, I did have hair almost past my ass. Yeah. At one time.
If you look,
I used to sit on my hair and pull my own hair by sitting on my own hair all the time. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. It was that long.
If you search on YouTube, Wes, you can find some of other instances where he had a mishap on stage, and he either just performed through it, but there's rare footage where he's like scolding the stagehands or the technical crew.
Yeah, I saw one where he didn't quite hook the heel, or the thing on the heel broke for the gangsta lean. And he flopped right over, but he just got right back up like nothing happened.
Well, I think Michael at his core was a very nice person who didn't want to hurt people's feelings. You can see, like, even in This Is It, when he's upset and he's irritated about something, he's not yelling about it. He's not screaming about it. It's screaming someone's head off. He's like, can you just can you turn the sound down a little bit? It's banging in my ear. It's like someone's taking a hammer and just jamming it in my ear. So if you could just bring it down a little bit, it's all for love. You know, it's like just to see those rare moments that you normally didn't get to see.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That's a tough question, Sentinel.
It's just kind of sad how he ended up going out. That whole thing was just.
I gotta say, Live at Bureaucrats is my favorite Michael Jackson concert. I think Dangerous has a lot of great elements to it, but Live at Bureaucrats probably has the best overall theme and mixture of props.
What about Madison Square Garden?
What do you mean?
You had to have played at Madison Square Garden at one point.
Well, Sentinel said MJ concert. I guess I'm more mentioning a tour. Because I never saw him in person. But if I was to pick, because in a tour, all of his performances are the same beats, the same set list. So that would be my choice. I like the Dangerous concert he did too, and the other ones, the Victory Tour and whatnot. But my favorite's definitely the Live at Bureaucrats.
When was this, Sentinel?
Guitar sharking. Yeah, well, I could imagine it, yeah. Planets, not places. Yeah, you rarely ever saw Michael pissed off about anything other than at Sony Music. And he's very vocal about that.
Oh, the Tommy Mottola thing?
Mm-hmm. All that stuff.
Matola, Matola, whatever. Go to hell, Matola.
Even though it was controversial, I liked watching Living with Michael Jackson just to see what his world was like. You know, aside from all the weird overtones that God, what's his name? That one guy did that Michael later sued him for. It was interesting to see like how Michael's lifestyle was, to kind of look behind the curtain of the celebrity and into his private you know, like living at Neverland Ranch and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Remember when he appeared on The Simpsons, but he couldn't use his real name, so he used, I think, John J. Smith.
Yep.
That's his credit. That's the thing about Michael Jackson. Like him or hate him, his short films that led into his music videos or whatever, that was
out of the stage to take the camera off of Slash. That's funny.
Yeah. That when Michael Jackson was releasing the music video, that was an event. Like everyone was on board. That was a big deal at the time. I remember when Remember the Times was going to come out, and they kept doing teasers leading up to it. Or Remember the Time.
There's the link.
Man, I mean, the dude was like the George Lucas of music videos, you know. Talk about innovation.
He's crossing his arms. He's pissed.
One of the Michael Jackson projects I really liked that wasn't widely released in the United States for a long time was Michael Jackson's Ghosts.
Away from him. It's like, get the hell away from me.
Slash, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're telling him to get off the stage. Yeah, I don't think they know who they're talking to.
Did you see Michael Jackson's Ghosts, Wes?
Hold on, I'm sorry. I was watching that I'm watching that video that just got posted.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Michael Jackson's getting all kinds of pissed.
I'll have to check it out.
That is so funny. Well, basically, Slash was showboating. He was doing what he does.
Sure, yeah.
You know, Michael shouldn't have. I don't know how that came about, but Michael Jackson should not have been surprised at Slash showboating. You know, that's what he does.
Well, he kind of encourages it.
Yeah, he's upstaging them.
Greetings, Tommy. How you doing?
Yeah. What's up, Tommy?
Barbecuing, I hear.
Fortunately, we are not plagued with bots tonight.
What the heck?
You know, bots spam in the chat room or anything.
Oh, it's been a little while since that happened.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. You don't upstage the main act, dude. You just don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't think he cared. It didn't really look like he cared.
No, he wasn't even letting the security guys touch him. He was just like kicking him out, kicking him away from him.
I don't think they realize that basically if they touch Slash, they're going to be done.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
He will knock them out. That's funny. That's something else.
I have no idea, Sentinel. Thriller album was a bit before my time.
Wait, what? Hold on, let me catch up in the chat. Oh, Thriller? Yeah. Boy, I remember when Thriller came out. It sounded like nothing at that time.
Yeah.
I remember we were driving. I was a kid, and I said, "Mom, who is that lady?" And my mom said, "That's no lady. That's Michael Jackson."
Better have a fort built of toilet paper there, Toxic Man Flu.
No, the ghost bear won't get you.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What was this thing about the fight over the Civil War between Kathleen Kennedy and Favreau? I'm not caught up to that whole deal over the child.
Well, Civil War between Lucasfilm, and this comes from Doomcock, actually.
Well,
and John
good, then.
John Tran wrote an article about it.
I think the long and the short of it is that she's trying to claim credit for Baby Yoda. I believe
really
that's what's going on. Yeah.
So basically, Bob Iger.
That's interesting because we know that she hates that. She's on record as not supporting The Mandalorian whatsoever when it first came out. She didn't want to plug it at Star Wars Celebration. She didn't want her name involved with it. She said basically that is a Favreau, that is a separate Favreau project, and that's their business. Now all of a sudden that it's more popular than, because I think she was trying to downplay its importance compared to her overly controlled sequel trilogy stuff. Yeah. It's interesting now that she's trying to take credit because it's successful, whereas her ideas failed miserably.
That's what it looks like.
But that doesn't surprise me. I mean, let's be honest. Like, what is Kathleen Kennedy? Kathleen Kennedy was Steven Spielberg's assistant who basically worked her way up the ladder to get credits on films that she didn't contribute that much to, but slapped her name on a lot of famous films, and that's how she rose to power. And then she married a producer, Frank Marshall, and the rest is history. Like, she herself doesn't know jack shit about storytelling or character development. If you watch her interviews, she never talks about the depth and mythology of Star Wars. It's always topical. Like, oh, we love these characters, and they are so important to the brand. And you have no idea how much respect we have for Luke Skywalker.
Man,
and we're going to have more strong female characters.
She spews so much pretentiousness that it makes the Geiger counter go off the scale.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
God.
Sentinel, not even with a Keurig could she brew a decent cup of coffee.
Man, you could take that pretentiousness she spews and put it in a reactor and make energy out of it. That's how toxic it is.
I want to see her. You know what? If she didn't have connections, she'd be the shift manager at the drive-thru of a Taco Bell.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt. In fact, if we weren't living in this SJW culture now, she would have been fired a long time ago.
Yeah, she's definitely getting all the SJWs mad and getting them to do their little bit that they do, you know. Their little being little harassers. Ooh, you don't think like me, I'm going to harass you.
Wrong think. Yep.
I hope that we get a movie about her time at Lucasfilm, the way we got a movie about like the Jay Leno and David Letterman.
Oh, that would be so good. Yep. I don't think Hollywood will make that movie though.
Yeah, that's.
Well,
hey, somebody in Lucasfilm is going to be writing a book someday. A disgruntled person.
No doubt.
I
got a sneaking suspicion that because of the pink elephant, Hollywood's not going to be making very many movies.
She's as dumb as a box of rocks opened up on Christmas. Nobody wants it. No one can return it.
Hey, I've met a few rocks here and there that were smarter than her. Yeah. Seriously, conversations were pretty good. Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, the pretentious attitude goes along with the smugness of SJWs. They all have that air of that know-it-all arrogance that just kind of wafts off of them in everything they do and every interview they give.
I would have to agree with that. Because when I see pictures of her, just look at the look in her eyes.
Yeah, it's
Not friendly.
Yeah, she's not even really an NPC. She's more of a speak and say.
Yeah.
Just pull the string. Strong female characters.
yeah. Well,
You know,
All the little platitudes they like to say,
yeah, pull the string. The Force is female. Yeah, pull the string again.
yeah.
What's up, Mikhail? How you doing?
Yep.
Inclusion and diversity.
Hey, some dude who created the pet rock made millions of dollars off that.
Yep, they did. Yeah, that was a very big selling toy thing.
Just like those the geckos on it, the invisible leashes, invisible dog leashes.
What were those watches? Tamaguchis? What the hell were those things?
Yeah, You mean the watch pets?
Yeah.
Digital pets, Tamagotchis? Or
Yeah. My
Yeah.
cousin had one of those. I remember him talking about having to feed the thing all the time, and I thought it was just
Yeah, things go in fads. Before that, there was Pogs. Remember Pogs? How big Pogs were for a while.
I don't remember.
Then
those.
it was
I remember
Beanie Babies.
I remember Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
Worked with some weird chick that had a bunch of them all over her desk, and she's like, "They're gonna be worth so much money."
Oh yeah, I know. Well, see, for me, in my opinion, that's what Pops are now. Pops are the new Beanie Babies, and they're really starting to lose momentum now because they've made so many different variants and so many different chase figures that they've oversaturated the market, which is really what Beanie Babies wound up doing.
I'm sorry. There's some Beanie Babies that are way cooler than Pops.
Oh, I'm not saying they're better or worse. I'm just saying in comparison to similarities.
I think Pops are just an exaggerated copy of bobbleheads.
Well, of course, and they suffer from same face. They've all got literally the same face with different hairstyles and accessories. They look like dead-eyed shark people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parrot Head doesn't he kind of make Kathleen Kennedy sound kind of like Katharine Hepburn? I think that's how he does it, right?
Cool.
When they do the impersonation, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's hilarious.
For all your Knight Rider. Yep, that's my Knight Rider stuff. Yeah, I wrote a book on the television show Knight Rider. It's called The Knight Rider Companion. If you want to check it out, check out KnightRiderCompanion.com. I'm actually a self-published author. And you can check out my page on IMDb if you want to see some of the projects I've been involved with. It's mostly Knight Rider stuff, some Goldberg's things. I also did the animated titles for the Disney Armchair Archivist series, the web series. Anyway.
All right.
I don't like to brag about myself too much. I'm a humble man. I'm not as humble and eloquent as Ethan Van Sciver, though. Although I would say I'm still a great big Star Wars fan.
Things Star Wars old. I like.
I mean, you're talking to a guy that stood in line practically all of Star Wars Celebration Anaheim to get autographs on a poster. To get a bunch of autographs on a poster. Oh, I mean, that's dedication, you know.
So, Wes, what's the latest pop culture thing that you've heard? And while you're talking about that, I need to go get some water real quick because apparently I've drank all 3 of my jars of water.
Well, that's why you need to get a really big one like this.
Yes, he is, Parrot Head.
All right. Show that again.
Oh, the water? Yeah.
Yeah, like that one right there. That's huge.
40 ounces.
That is a gigantic mug.
Right. Be back in a flash.
The sad thing is I could probably polish off a couple of those myself.
Yeah. If anybody asks for a beer around my house, that's the size you're getting, so hopefully you're thirsty. The latest pop culture thing that I've heard. See, at the beginning of the show, I had an idea of what that might have been, but now
I can't remember. Yeah. I like this kind of variety hour thing where we can just kind of jump from one topic to another, though. It's liberating and fun.
It is. I liked how we swerved into the whole Michael Jackson stuff and got into kind of that stuff. The nostalgia aspect.
And then it all still falls under the banner of pop culture, so it's not wildly off topic.
Yep. A lot of people, okay, so Transformers, Beast Machines, a lot of people did not like Beast Machines.
I'm one of them. I couldn't, actually, I've never seen all of Beast Machines because I can't get through it.
I like the story and the writing. I did not like the animation.
Yeah, well, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, it didn't fit. And then there were some character changes I didn't really agree with and like, but I don't think that Rhinox would have turned evil personally, but hey.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to spoil it for you.
No, I have. Believe me, I have no intentions of watching Machine Wars. I really liked Beast Wars, and I felt betrayed when they went that direction. Because that finale was really, really great. I was like, "Bro, good, we're getting back into G1 territory," and they found the Ark, and then it was just like, what the hell happened?
Yep.
You know?
Oh, you didn't win. Oops.
Yeah, that was just weird.
Or says Beast Wars was good. Sentinel says he was in the room with me. Wait, who? Hold on.
If he was
something somewhere.
Me, I'd slap him.
I'd much like to have a beer in that mug, sir, says Kronos. Yes, absolutely. We drink dark beer around here. We like Guinness Draught or Guinness Stout, extra stout. I like a beer you can chew. Thank you very much.
Me too.
Yeah, it tastes kind of like coffee too, which I appreciate. You gotta love the Irish. They've got whiskey nailed and they got beer nailed. Amazing people, the Irish.
Yeah, oh yeah. I've when you get to the bottom of 5 pints, things look differently.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised they didn't crack the code on vodka. That seems like a no-brainer. But they were too busy with the whiskey and the beer.
Yeah, I prefer gin.
I can do a gin and tonic with lime. That's okay. Gin used to be my drink of choice. I used to drink Tanqueray all the time.
Basically about a week after my 21st birthday, I was over at a friend's, and we had a martini party, and we were making martinis out of Absolute Gin. And the fifth of Absolute Gin. Well, the next size up, it wasn't quite a gallon, but it was more than a fifth, and we drank that whole thing. Martinis, vermouth, olive, the whole thing, all night. And my God, ooh, buddy. So and yes, we were listening to live Grateful Dead music.
There you go. Here's a fun fact. Apparently, I guess in the novels, at least this is what I was told by, when I first got my HD TV, I was an early adopter. There wasn't much to watch, so I used to watch Good Eats all the time. And Alton Brown, he did this drink special, and he was talking about gin, and he apparently the original martini that James Bond drank was a gin martini, stirred, not shaken, and that the vodka people lobbied to have him drink vodka martinis in the movies. Parrothead says the potato famine hurt us bad. Yeah, it really did. Kronos says, nice, Alton Brown. Yeah, he's one of my culinary heroes. I learned a lot from him. I learned how to make perfect popcorn in a wok, actually, from Alton Brown. It's the only way I can really eat popcorn, when I have popcorn.
Cool. I liked watching Gordon Ramsay yelling at people in Hell's Kitchen until it got redundant and dumb.
See, I liked I wasn't as into Hell's Kitchen with him as I was Kitchen Nightmares.
Oh yeah, Kitchen Nightmares is great.
Yeah, it's like French pig, pig.
Yeah, I can't get into. Another good series he did was the F Word.
Haven't seen that one.
That's I think that was more of the British version, but he's not as mean in it. But you get to see him running his own restaurant, and he's training brigades of chefs that rotate every episode, and at the end of the episode they get a rating on how good they did.
Yeah, the British version of Kitchen Nightmares, I think, was a little bit better than the U.S. version. The U.S. version, they did too much of the reality TV bullshit they do with everything else. They put the little sound cues and the quick zoom ins.
That gets old after a while. The sting sound effects when something goes wrong. Yeah. That's why I got bored with Hell's Kitchen. The first few seasons were great. Then it just kind of got like rinse and repeat. I couldn't get into Hotel Hell or the 24 Hours series.
I liked Ramsay's Kitchen.
Back.
I like to watch Ramsay's Kitchen every now and then when he was basically refreshing and helping restaurants that are pretty much failing. I like those.
That's Kitchen Nightmares.
Kitchen Nightmares? Yeah, I like that show.
Yeah.
Most of the time they failed because the people were total basket cases. But,
but there were a few successes here and there.
Yeah, like two or three of them.
Well, you know the epic fail with ABC with Amy's Baking Company.
Yeah, Tommy, unfortunately, so do I.
That was his biggest epic fail of the season, of the series.
Was that the one where he goes to was that the one with the butch lesbian woman?
I think so.
You're insane. I'm insane.
Yes, and like the Pakistani husband. I think he was Pakistani, something like that.
Oh, must be. I think that was a different one.
Well, she made cakes, and she kicked people out. The husband kicked people out of the restaurant for complaining about his food.
I do remember that one now. Yes.
And it was the only.
Oh man!
I think it's the only Kitchen Nightmares where he fundamentally failed because he couldn't get to that point where he does the new menu, and that sort of deal. It's definitely one of the more entertaining and dramatic scenarios of that series. And if you haven't seen it, you definitely should check that one out.
So do you guys?
Girl's like batshit crazy. She goes after everybody on social media.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, and he tries to read their comments to him, and it's like they're all assholes. They're out to get me or whatever it was.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you guys remember Zima?
Vaguely.
Yeah, I do.
Yes. It was considered a malt liquor beverage.
Mm-hmm.
Only difference is it kind of tasted a little bit like Sprite and 7-Up, but with a little bit slightly more sour taste to it. Not quite so sweet. And I had my ex-fiance from years back. She liked to drink that stuff. Man, that stuff was just nasty, man.
That's how I feel about Smirnoff Ice.
Yeah, they've had a few of those over the years, haven't they? Didn't it start with like Bartles and James? And then it moved into Zima, and then you ended up with the Smirnoff Ice?
I think so, yeah.
Believe it or not, Bartles and James is probably the best of all the wine coolers. If you're going to drink wine coolers, Bartles and James probably will give you the least hangover. But the thing about alcohol is, once you start drinking one particular kind of alcohol, don't switch. Because if you do, you're going to get a hangover.
Beer before liquor, never sicker. Wine before Yeah, never mind. I don't know if there's one for wine.
I'm the boring one of the bunch when it comes to that. I don't drink. And it's not out of any kind of moral standing. It's because I'm what they call a super taster. And there's a particular chemical in alcohol and wine and coffee that to a super taster tastes extremely bitter. So when I have alcohol, it doesn't matter how it's mixed. It tastes like earwax to me. You can Google it.
So you probably wouldn't make a good wine taster?
No, not at all.
I'd like to see the look on your face.
I don't drink coffee.
Tiny sip of.
I don't
Imagine
drink
the look on
alcohol.
your face. Tiny sip of wine. Oh man, take a picture of that face.
Sourpuss. Yep.
Yeah, I don't really care for most wines. The only wine I do like is a Johannesburg Riesling and a late harvest Riesling.
Those are white wines, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are a sweet tart, and I don't get hangovers from it. And basically, late harvest, it goes really good with salmon. You can eat with your dinner, your meal, and one glass. I kid you not, one glass, and you will feel like you took a tranquilizer. That's how good the wine is. You know, I've never really had wine affect me that way before.
I like a Riesling. I'll have it like on Thanksgiving and Christmases and things. But I like a good Francis Ford Coppola. You know, he's got actually a pretty good vineyard, and his wine is actually pretty damn good. Surprised.
Huh.
But I'm a whiskey guy.
We have a Hogue winery from Cumberland Valley, and they used to have a really decent wine, but they went from regular cork to plastic cork, and I think now they have spin top wine bottles now. So that's pretty much means to me that their wine has gone down in quality. Because that the late harvest Riesling is made not very far from here. You know, there's a lot of decent wineries that are not too far away from here. You know, wine country basically up here.
I've heard that the wine from the fires that year, the Sonoma fires, that really did change the taste of the wine. I'm not sure if that makes it more desirable or less desirable, but apparently, yeah, the grapes from that year when we had the big fires, supposedly that really affected the flavor.
In a sour way or a sweeter way?
I have no idea. I'm not much of a wine drinker. You know, my little sister's going to Sonoma State. I should ask her.
Now, here's the question: is do people really like it, and is it sought after?
That is the question. I have no idea.
Yeah. Because if it's sought after, the effect it had is probably a happy accident.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's definitely, you know, something people might want just to collect it, just because.
Yeah, we have the Black Hills that's west of Olympia, and the reason why it's called the Black Hills because years ago there was a huge forest fire in the Capitol Forest. And so the hills were black for a very long time.
Yeah, them fires are nothing to mess with.
No. We had our share of them last summer and the summer before that.
We get them out here during the dry season. Good old California.
Yeah.
In fact, I forget what caused the fire over here. What is that? Over by the Getty Center. That whole hillside burned up. You remember that, Wes?
Yeah.
Looked like something out of an apocalyptic movie.
Well,
yeah, man. There's been a bunch of them. Yeah, there was one down there, and
I thought I heard that California suspended prescribed burning.
Controlled burning, sure.
because in Indiana it's called prescribed burning.
It depends a lot of times which county you're in.
Yeah, because it's something that Indiana does. Because there's a lot of forest in northwestern Indiana, and it does make a difference.
Man, I thought Drew's typewriter was noisy.
Oh, it's because my mic's too close to the keyboard.
No, Drew's keyboard sounds like one of them old school typewriters.
Yeah,
it's
really
very loud compared to Nick's keyboard.
Yeah, I think you're a little bit faster of a typer there, Nick. Also.
Oh yeah, I type like 100 words per minute, something like that. You know, the funny thing about that is, I never I learned how to type. Like, you had typing classes, you know, in high school or whatever. But I do so much role playing and chatting online. So I used to do Star Wars role play in Yahoo chat rooms and whatnot. I type on the computer so frequently that I just do it by instinct. Like, I don't even look at the keys. I already know my fingers instinctively know where to go. And when they were teaching me typing in high school, you know, you had the book where it's like L-A, L-A, B-A, B-A-C, learning the home keys and all that stuff, right? I could never get anywhere, any kind of progress out of that. And I just started noticing I noticed one day out of the blue, it's like, I'm not even looking at the keys anymore. And then from there, it just gets faster and faster because I do it so frequently, it becomes like muscle memory.
Wow.
So that's one of the things I hated about touchscreens is not having that tactile.
Yeah, exactly. The tactile. Yeah. I'm not this fast when it comes to texting. I'll tell you that much.
Like, I remember when the iPhone came out, you know, I used to have, I had the Palm Treo phone, and which is better than a BlackBerry, by the way. It really sucked that they weren't able to make that work.
I had the MyTouch 4G slide, and I didn't want to give that up for the world because it has a slide-out keyboard. It was perfect. And then they discontinued it.
Yeah, so then the Treo had the touch screen with the stylus, and it had the buttons, which was like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Stupid iPhone.
More often than not, I just use the text, the voice to text feature on my phone. But then it doesn't always get it right, and you have to be very careful before you hit the send button. Sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I've had autocorrect make a fool of me a few times. I think autocorrect had a kind of a dirty mind.
Man, let me tell you, autocorrect's got me so many times.
Yeah.
Oh man, in live chats. Let me tell you.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah.
Oh man, it's got me good. That darn tootin' autocorrect, I'm telling you.
Oh, autocorrect is the worst. I mean, it's necessary, but if you haven't built up your library already, it's just a pain in the ass. Because then you have to you type a word out, and it autocorrects it, and you have to go back and backspace and retype it again, and then it autocorrects it again until you hit the little check mark and add it to your dictionary or whatever. So the funny thing about the typing class in high school, you might find this kind of funny.
That's funny. I took typing class.
Here's the deal. So when I took the typing class, I was already pretty good at typing without looking at the keys. Well, this teacher absolutely would not let me not look at the keys. You know, like, oh, you have to look at your fingers. You have to learn the home keys. You have to do this. You have to do that. Have to stare at your keyboard. You have to look at the book. So I finally got tired of it, and about halfway through the semester, I made a bet with the teacher. I said, well, you know, I've seen how you type, and I've seen how other people type, and I'm pretty confident that I can type faster than you, not looking at the keys, than you can looking at the keys. And he's like, well, okay, fine, you're on, but if you don't beat me, then I'm going to fail you. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So we did the challenge and I kicked his ass. So I didn't have to take the course
Man,
for the remainder of the semester.
my experience is not as good as yours was.
Yeah, I bet.
Man, I tried. I did typing class. I tried. I really tried. I tried so hard. I failed miserably. The teacher felt so sorry for me. He passed me with a D
Oh, wow.
because he's seen me. I put F. I really, really was trying.
Yeah, I couldn't do the memorizing thing. We have to memorize like different keys for each finger. I can't. There's a disconnect for me. There's this phenomenon called the zombie in the brain, and that's what allows you to type without looking at the keys and do other things. Like, for instance, when you put your hand in your pocket and you feel around for change or you feel your keys, you're not seeing your keys, but your hand knows what it is. Your brain knows what it is. So you always pull out the right coin, your wallet or whatever. But if you were to take 5 identical, say 5 pennies, and put them in your pocket and try to pull out a particular date, you wouldn't be able to do it because there's no size distinction. There's nothing to build that zombie in the brain phenomenon that comes from muscle memory and visual association with things. It's a whole psychological deal. You can look it up online, but it's a really fascinating phenomenon that science still can't explain. Certain things we can do that there's no explanation for. We just know how to do it, which kind of goes along with that whole idea of like gut instincts and sixth sense. And if you want to go down the road of like ESP and that sort of deal. But that's part of the phenomenon that allows you to type without looking at the keyboard, or allows you to do things without seeing them, without visually seeing something, just by instinct and by touch alone.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought you might find that. Not to get off topic, but as an artist, I study all sorts of things of psychology and whatnot, so that my graphics, because it goes along with marketing and promotion, visual identities and that sort of deal. You kind of have to know these things in order to be a successful artist and to have an effective style and whatnot.
Yeah, I took the crash course of computer courses, and basically I broke stuff and then I fixed it because I broke it and I had to fix it. That's how I learned. Seriously.
Hey, no, there's no substitute for experience. Practice makes perfect. It's true.
Yeah.
Anything you do.
And believe it or not, when in from 2000 to 2001 to from 2001 to 1999 to 2002, I was a telemarketer, and so I got to be pretty good at typing. And at that time, they didn't really require a typing speed. There was a real rinky-dink typing test that they had, and it was really nothing.
Yep.
And and when I started doing stuff on YouTube, uploading, I got used to keyboard again. So I'm not real fast, but I'm okay. I still have to look though.
I was super against a digital keyboard on my phone. I was like, that's like a deal breaker for me. And then, much like the actual keyboard, you kind of get used to it. But the one thing I can't do that people do really well is the swipe feature, where you just drag your finger along letters. I can't process that when I'm trying to type something out.
No, I was
some kind of tactical feeling there.
I was inbound. People called me. I was in credit card. They called me to get a credit card.
Oh, telemarketing.
Yeah. And that's pretty much that was me. I was all inbound calls. What song's that?
Yeah, what song is it? Bop.
I did.
Bop, bop, bop,
I did
boom,
selling
boom.
for AirTouch Cellular like 20 years ago, before they became Verizon. AirTouch was a fun place to work. Verizon became a hellhole.
Yeah, it's kind of what I hear about the old telemarketing firm I used to work at. The building's not even there anymore. They got a place was called Liebridge, and they got bought out by, believe it or not, Xerox.
Oh boy.
Yeah, man, under AirTouch, it was super chill and relaxed. You get time and a half on Sundays. Nobody would call. You could just, I would actually watch Beast Wars cartoons most of the time. There's no firewall, no nothing. And then Verizon came in. What are you doing? What's your internet here? Firewall.
It's like the dude playing Galaga on the helicarrier's computers. That dude's playing Galaga. Or that man's playing Galaga.
Yeah, it's
My job was changing what they call iris drum printers. It's pretty much creating these things called giclées, which are like high-end reproductions of paintings and stuff like that on like canvas and what they call arches. This is like parchment paper. All the art galleries kind of do these things. We printed posters for Disney and a bunch of Japanese artists. And they're just these massive, like 40-inch drums that you would literally tape down sheets of paper to, massive sheets of paper to. And then these micro droplets, the drums would spin around and it would paint the image onto the paper. And yeah, they change them like every 15, 20 minutes to keep the drums going. It's the same machines that the government used to use and like IBM and stuff used to do for like charts and stuff like that and seismic readings for earthquakes. They figured out they could repurpose these machines to make art. And I did that for about a year. So that gave me like a firm understanding of color registration and you know, how inks work and the additive and subtractive process and all that kind of deal. And I did that out of art college. I have a AA in graphic design and a BFA in digital media. And then between that, I actually worked at Disneyland for 6 months as a cast member, taking tickets at the main gate. That was fun.
Yeah, the typing class I took, it was just filler credit. Man, that was the hardest filler credit I ever earned, let me tell you.
No, we had to do it as an elective. It was required to graduate, just like taking foreign language.
Yeah, it wasn't required. I remembered that.
You're lucky.
Yeah. There was other things that was required, like economics, that was required. Government,
10 years from now,
that was required.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Economics and government were both required.
Ugh, yeah.
And you had to do it up until your junior year.
Hey, Tommy, I think 10 years from now, no one's even going to remember the sequel trilogy. That's how terrible it is.
It's going to be like Highlander 2.
The Quickening?
Mm-hmm.
Or the Renegade version.
Yeah, it's going to be aliens from planet Zeist and fucking S.H.I.E.L.D. Corporation. That's how disconnected from the lore it's going to be.
Oh my god. You know, but you got to give it to Michael Ironside. He was great in that.
Oh, he's great in everything he's in, yeah.
Yeah, my economics teacher was pretty freaking awesome because that class was not easy to pass. Oh my god.
Oh no, yeah.
Gotta say, there was some cool teachers back in the day. Who knows what it would be like right now.
Art has always been a profound part of my life. I mean, I think I was literally born to be an artist or a writer. In high schools, I started using Photoshop when it was Photoshop 3. Now it's like Photoshop 15 or whatever the hell it is. I learned using the Photoshop on this program called Aldous Freehand, which is like Illustrator now, you know, Adobe Illustrator. Because I moved around a lot as a kid, and in the process of my high school years, I was severely behind in credits. So I had to take this thing called ROP courses and zero period. And in that process, I learned about pre-press bindery and making silk screening T-shirts, and practicing on an AB Dick print press, and photographing images on metal plates, developing metal plates for the presses, and all of that in high school. So that really kind of laid the foundation for my interest in artwork. Everyone's got their niche.
Wow. Tommy's internet connection has been suffering in the worst of the worst ways. He was just letting me know. Otherwise, he'd be on here with us.
I think I got a D in Spanish, Tyler. It was not my strong suit.
Yeah, that wasn't and that wasn't required.
I think it was. I think it was for my electives.
I'd
never take it by choice.
I hit high school right when we had that recession in the early '90s, and they cut budgets on everything. So they're like, "Hey," I was like, "I want to take guitar and auto shop," and they're like, "So we've got art and we've got crafts." I was like, "I guess I'm taking art and crafts."
If you took an art class, if you have any artistic talent at all, it was pretty much a breeze. It's pretty much a given. If you have no imagination, I'm sure it was pure hell.
I actually enjoyed it. I was so good, she actually let me. She actually busted out the Prismacolors for me to use. So she must have thought I had talent.
You must have been real special. You don't have that. You know the one thing that I will always remember as an artist: never tell your relatives or your family that you want to be an artist, because every birthday and every Christmas you'll get that. You'll get either really bad scratchy sketch pads from Rite Aid or some kind of discount store, or you'll get the world famous wooden all-in-one art kit with the worst markers and crayons imaginable and oil pastels. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's
Yep.
It's usually like in a big wooden box looking thing, like a briefcase, and it's got these plastic trays, and it's made by like Rose Art or something, one of them weird brand companies.
I think I've got one, actually.
Yeah, I think every artist has had one of them somewhere in their lifetime given to them. Prismacolors and Conti markers and microliners of where it's at.
Yeah, man, those Prismacolors will make you look like a good artist. They've actually got actual lead in the pencil.
I don't doubt it. I mean, and they go on so smooth too, especially blending.
Yep. Yeah, the shading and doing all that. Yeah, it looks really good.
Colored pencils. Oh yeah.
Get it? Twitch.
Oh, the fun life of an artist.
Well, hey,
Gonna wrap this one up there, Bear?
I'm starting to doze a little myself.
I guess I feel a bit artistic because, I've been doing my own thumbnails, and they've been, I guess you could say, growing in leaps and bounds,
Hey,
it enjoy
takes practice, If you have an interest in it, it just takes practice. And a lot of patience, especially in art,
It is 11:37 p.m. and we have 10 viewers.
Nice. Thanks for sticking with us, guys.
Dang, yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And just think,
I hope you enjoyed our randomness.
So what is it?
A lot of times they enjoy the randomness the most.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 2:37 on the East Coast right now.
It's 11:33 on the West Coast at the moment.
Yep.
Like a couple of days ago, I was doing a test stream, and I was multi-streaming because I upgraded my StreamYard on Facebook and YouTube, and I had one viewer on Facebook, and they were just like trolling the shit out of me. But it was fun.
I think I was on that stream.
I think you were on that stream, Bear.
Yeah, that was fun. I think there was a couple other on there too.
Yeah, there was like some underage kid somehow ended up on Facebook in the chat, and I just thought it was like a normal adult or something. I didn't check the profile, and they started asking me all these weird questions like, "Are you famous? Can you play video games?" And I'm like, "What? How old are you? 12? Get out!"
Well, it's the people on. That's not much different
No,
than the
because it was-
that's not much different than the 40-year-olds acting like they're 12.
It was me, Wes, and there was someone else on the panel with us. Who was that?
Oh, God. Was it Final? Oh, wait. Shit. Did Loki jump on? Was it Loki?
It might have been.
Oh, my God.
It was Willie. Wasn't it Willie?
Was it Willie?
Was it Willie?
Man, I don't know. We've done
Because I know Willie was on my channel, and then somebody else was with us. There've been so many live streams, they blend together.
It's such a blur, man. I think we did 3 one day, then 3 the next day, and then I did like 2 the next day. And then I'm doing 1 today. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, let's see. Friday 6 hours, I think, and then Saturday was 5 hours live stream. In separate streams. I had 2 shows on Saturday.
Oh, dude, I love challenging.
Troopers.
I love challenging myself to be able to do that, but without those breaks, it would not have been possible. This couch is way too uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, you got to have the definitely have to have the break between shows, the refuel.
I have no idea how Doomcock does it. You know, it's just, I guess, being a supernatural, Eldritch God or whatever.
Oh yeah, you know it. Hail Doomcock.
Yeah. Doomcock genuinely enjoys what he does, and I really love his enthusiasm for Friday Night Frolics. I was on there one time talking a little bit about Glenn Larson and all that.
I think I caught that show, actually.
But he really loves his audience, and I love that he will respond to people in the chat as much as he will to people who send in super chats. You know, because some of these people that stream on YouTube won't even acknowledge your super chat. Like, they're just keep on talking. A lot of these SJW Star Wars reviewers or whatever do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like, dude, people are paying to support you. The least you can do is say thank you, you know?
Yeah, really.
Yep.
But Doomcock goes above and beyond, and I really... His enthusiasm is infectious in a good way.
Yeah, a lot of the larger Fandom Menace YouTubers do a pretty good job of getting to all the super chats.
Oh, yeah. Ethan goes out of his way to answer his super chats, and he has a lot of fun with it when people are, you know, taking shots at him and breaking his stones, as we used to say. I love watching Jeremy because he's very sincere and smart. I'm a big fan of all the people on the Phantom Menace. That I love their personalities. I love their unique things they bring to the table.
Oh yeah.
Best community.
And there's
ever.
a lot of mutual respect there. You know,
Got that
mutual
right.
respect is important.
Got that right. Best community.
That's a great voice. Yeah.
For sure. Can you believe that I've been doing this now for a year and a month on the 19th?
Wow.
Yeah. So my my 1 year anniversary happened in not ideal time for a few different reasons, but mostly because of the pink elephant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that messed a lot of things up.
Yeah.
Well, it's important to remember that contrary to what the media wants to say, this is not a new normal. Nothing about this is normal, and we will eventually get back to normalcy, to true normalcy.
Oh, and basically
not tolerated anymore.
I can't support anything to do with contact tracing whatsoever. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you. But I gotta,
anniversary.
I gotta say, it's been very enlightening. I gotta say, because my first, I think it's my first 3 live streams. I didn't even know I was live streaming until I discovered it after the fact.
Oh, that must have been embarrassing.
Camera wasn't on, but it could have. It could have. Oh yeah, you betcha it could have.
That. It's like that preacher who accidentally left his mic on when he went to the bathroom with really bad diarrhea.
Ooh,
and then they use the audio track from that very real experience in Dumb and Dumber in the diarrhea sequence. A lot of people don't know that, but that was a real thing that happened.
Damn. Probably Chinese food.
Oh, it was pretty bad. I've heard the original recording, and
bad catering food, perhaps.
Hey, and then after he's done, he walks out whistling like nothing ever happened.
Hey, how do you know he didn't leave the frickin' mic on purpose?
No, it definitely was not intentional. No one in their right mind would do that on purpose. You can tell he was in a hurry because if you listen to the audio, you can hear him running into the stall and like slamming the lid down, frantically looking for the tissue paper cupboard.
Yeah,
so yeah,
man,
I
gotta have the ass gasket. I've gotten like poison oak from a toilet seat before because I couldn't wait.
Thank you,
man.
Tommy. That's very nice of you.
That really, that sucks, man. I am highly allergic to poison oak. I'm more allergic to poison oak than I am poison ivy. And I've had that before, man. My God, man, that is not happy stuff.
Especially down there.
And especially if you got sunburn and you get it, oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, all I can think of is that I think it was like a Carl's Jr. or a Jack in the Box or something, and it was close to the river, and the homeless people sleep in the river. And so I'm thinking probably it was a homeless person that slept in some poison oak or something, or tracked some poison oak in there. Ugh.
Yeah, you gotta watch clothing or articles of clothing. You gotta wash them really good because sometimes the poison oak will stay on that clothing, and say the clothing article gets hung up instead of washed. Ooh, man, you can get it from your clothing a year later.
Yep. Sure. Yeah.
Because those sweaters that only get wore during the fall, you get if you come in contact with poison oak, you definitely want to get those taken care of.
For sure. All right. Well, this seems like a good place to wrap things up.
This is a good one to take us out. If Ghost Bear's video music started playing in Disney headquarters, the employees would all run. Or they start dancing. Either way.
Or take tabs of acid. Who knows? We're talking about Grateful Dead.
What was your previous handle? Parrot Head.
Sounds like a challenge to me.
I don't remember. Like I said, we get stream brain and all these streams blend together.
I think I've only been on two of these streams.
Is Raul pronounced like Paul, only with a deeper U in the AL? Raul? Is that how you pronounce that? Raul?
Rural? Like a rural neighborhood?
All right, folks. We'll tune in this time next week.
Yeah.
Same bear channel, same bear time.
Aha.
Yes, sir.
So, we thank the chat for coming and hanging out with us. Oh, 2 a.m. where you're at? You in Central Time?
Kronos
or Eastern. With it being close to the top of the hour, it's hard to tell. Hey, Toxic Man Flu, thanks for coming by. Kronos, thank you. Tommy, thanks for modding, really appreciate it. Parrot Head, Tyler Mongo, thanks for coming by, we appreciate you. And Michael Wolf, thank you, appreciate it. Without you guys, it wouldn't be fun, you know. And appreciate you, Wes, and appreciate you, Nick. You know, it's nice to have you coming out, man. You should come out more.
Thanks. Yeah.
You disappeared there for a little while. And good night, all. As my shirt is not there, you see.
You wearing a
Just
green
floating
shirt?
head.
So yeah, and we will see you guys later. And have a good one. And thanks for coming out. Appreciate you.
All right.
Hail.
See ya.
Hail.
See ya. If you see a well, don't fall in it.